I click the button and we go live. 0 people watching. How's it going, everyone? No, not even a bot. Not even a single solitary lonely bot to come and join me on this brisk evening on the internet. Actually, let me set up my better audio, I think. 1 second here. I gotta lean over here. I gotta plug in this bitch. Nope, not this bitch. Gotta plug in. Shit, mom. Is it this bitch? Nope, it's this bitch. Okay. 1 second here. Just 1 second. Oh, my freaking printer just do some weird shit. Just 1 second here. Oh, people did file in. We got Ken Jackman. We got Dale A. What's up? Got Wolfer. What's up? Okay. This should be working. Check. That should be working. Maybe a little better. I don't know if that's better or not. It's better when I hold it close, but it's far away. So maybe the same. Delay, but soon I will leave. Indeed. Fair enough. 7 people. I'm going to throw up this shit, some chess brain teasers, and see if this is fun or not. This is an experiment. Entire screen. This might be stupid. See if we can find a fun one. Hard chess puzzle problem. Popularity. Your pieces are white. You need to win in half a move. How can you do this? They don't even show the board. Can I zoom out or something? Yo, it's like huge on my monitor. Anyway, let's look at this for a second. Your pieces are white. You need to win in half a move? How do you even win in half a move? I'm so confused. Your pieces. Is this like a a riddle? You need to win in half a move. You can move the queen there, maybe? Is this like checkmate or something? I don't know. I kind of might. I think we should move on. This one is weird. This one, I don't like it. I don't like what this makes me feel about myself. A.B. Brown Seaver says, "Oi, mate, point me Australian style, Roy." Adele says, "Sign up, sign down." Oh, yeah, sign up for a hotel story. 33 people watching. That's a decent little number for just little old me hanging out. 33 is the good number, too. That's the age Jesus was when he died. That number pops up all the time. I'm glad I'm older than 33, so I don't have to worry about dying or anything like that. Not that I'm Jesus. But I was named after a dude who died when he was 25, I think. So I was really nervous then. My dad's buddy just gave him he wrote a book and self-published it, this cool historical fiction book about a family tree kind of living through the Civil War. And he gave my dad a cameo in it, like a Hitchcockian cameo, because on the family tree, one of the guys' names is my dad's name. And my dad's like, "I'm in the book." But then he looks at the family tree, and that character lived to be 74 years old. And my dad is 73 years old right now. And he's like, "Why did you have to make my guy live to be 74 when I'm 73? It's the worst possible year you could have picked." And I was like, "Damn straight, it sure is. You'd be worried the whole year." But what's funny is, so you're like, well, make him live longer. But even then, so say he lives to be 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, you're still going to be nervous when it hits 84. I'm like, make him 71. So you've already passed it. So you don't care. So you can relax. What's everyone? Bancroft rated me. Thanks, Bancroft. That's why everyone's here. I just happened to be live, just little old me on the internet looking for some chess brain teasers. The audience right now might be too big for what this stream is capable of entertaining. It's more than I deserve. And we can't even solve this one. I don't even know what the hell this one is. Solve it. It says you need to win in half a move. What does that mean? Does it? We can view the answer. Should we? You can discuss, and it's a logic. Half a move. You win in half a move. Like you punch your opponent in the real world and knock him out. Half a move of just tossing the board up in the air. Yeah, Jetto Jaga says knock all the pieces off. You win in half a move. That makes no sense. I kind of want to move on. This one's vexing me. I think we will move on. But I'm like, should we just click and see the answer? But we won't do that yet, because if we get in that habit early, that's kind of cheating. Alex Beerby says, pin the link. Okay, let me 1 second while I pull up the link, because I just have it through the StreamYard and I can't post the link, but I can if I do this. Okay, so I have it here. And I pasted it. I hit enter, and then I go, oh my God. It's funny. YouTube won't let me click on the right button until someone else comments, because it's like, do you want to heart it? The heart is covering the button I need to push to pin the link. So as soon as someone else comments, but now everyone's going to comment, it's going to shoot up. This is hilarious. I can't click. I wish I could. Okay, someone commented. So now it moved above the heart. The heart was blocking the button I needed to push. If you know, you know. That's what I say. Pin message. Okay, make sure that's the right link too. I didn't accidentally post the StreamYard link or something. Cool. Pause that. Move back over here. Some reason I couldn't delete that long message. It's meant to say, call your opponent racist. Yeah, half a move. You could win that way. Cancel them. Thumb to the eye. Alex BRB. I'm off to shave. I'm thinking Hitler stash. Yeah, in between, that's the way you do it. Either pick handlebar or Hitler. You go handlebar to Hitler combo, and then you shave it all off. That's the way of society. But you must have that moment of privacy looking at yourself with the Hitler stash. And you'd be like, if I could travel back in time, would I wear the Hitler stash? Hopefully not. Would I still shave it off? Yes. Take the right movement. The movement of justice is this. Just taking the Hitler stash off. Paul Sarts, I got a Hitler stash on my junk. What do they call that? They call that a happy trail. Just a really elongated Hitler stash from the belly button down, straight down the happy trail. Okay, let's see what the next stupid ass chess teaser is. Oh, there's trivia. We can check some trivia sometime. Open in a new tab. One move chess puzzle. Difficulty, not super hard. Popularity. Can you win this chess game in one move? You're playing with white and it's your turn. Does it let you click and okay. I like ones where you can actually like click and drag them around and stuff, and it's like correct. Yeah. Interesting. So I want to say, do you just take the queen with that? Well, then he would just take that. So I don't think that is it. Do you go the rook here, take this fool? You got to check him to win the game. So if you go there, but I think then the king could just get you. So what? You can win this chess game in one move. You are playing with white, and it's your turn. Queen. Check. I don't even know. This one's hard. Someone's vexing me. I'm vexed. Wow, Narwhal is right on the money. He gets my solution finally. Psh. How do we get down this rabbit hole of Hitler puns and stashes? Fair enough. Fair enough. What are even the options of checking the king? You could take that fool with your pawn, but that's no check. If you go there, in one move, you can win this chess game in one move. Maybe are they saying like two moves? When they say one move, do they really mean two? And that's the riddle. Cool team. Got my party pack. Gnarly, you're the greatest. Cool team. Thank you. Yes. Stoked. Yeah, people are getting their books. If you get your books, Grand Prix, one of the interesting things about that campaign is it's only 48 pages, like the whole comic. I think the comic is 44 or 45. So you can read it pretty quickly. So yeah, have yourself a nice little sit down and read it once or twice even. Read it before Sunday when Hotel Story launches. And anyone and everyone who's willing and able to back Hotel Story. I think this stream we will read. I did it quickly on towards the end of Creative Block last night, but we will read like the first 8 pages of Hotel Story tonight too, kind of as a preview. It has a really fun beginning that I'm kind of proud of. Me and Jared co-wrote it, you know. Jared drew it, brought his awesome cartooning style to the project. Also his like, I need to think of the word of what, but he brings his like whole, like his whole aura kind of, you know, so that it's a little more goofy in a way, but it's like a fun horror romp is like the type of story it is. I don't know if even goofy is the right word, because it's like pretty, it's like fun, you know, like horror can be fun kind of. So you'll see when I read it. He helped a lot with the dialogue is a big part. It was fun brainstorming dialogue with him. We'd just be spouting off lines, and when we both laughed, we knew that was the one to use, but not really laughing like a joke way, because it's not like you'll read it and be laughing the whole way. But there are lines here and there where you're like might laugh. But for us, it's like we'll chuckle like constantly as we're writing, because we're like, ah, that's funny if they say that. And then we check to be like, okay, is it like try hard, stupid ass joke where we're like trying to be funny? Or is this like, no, this is like what they would say. And if it's option B, then we stick with it. Hyper Wizard, bombastic, maybe. He brings his. That's actually not the right word for what Jared brings. He brings his. I was like his outlook on life to the project. Some, you know, that kind of thing. He brings his, like, what's the thing they say that they hang above a college, and it's like the college is like some like a Greek word, and it means they're all encompassing deal. Their whole dealio. Like, what's the Greek word for whole dealio? You know what I mean? Horror romps are always fun. This one vexes me too, you guys. How do you even do this? How do you even do this? Excuse me. If we the king. So what about this? The king. You were playing with white, and it's your turn. The king can't go there. Boink. Boink. The king can't go anywhere but here. I feel like we're wasting time. Category logic. I want some of these. I'm like, if I click show the answer, it's gonna piss me and everyone here off. Hyperwizard says mantra. Reason deteriorativity. Yeah, I mean maybe those, but those aren't specifically the word I'm thinking of. I swear there's a Greek word that means like your whole deal. Let me Google it, see if it comes up. I'm Googling quotes whole Delio in Greek. Whole dealio. Greek. Oh yeah, none of this. That was a bad choice of what to search for. What if I just search Greek words for meaning, something like that? Logos could be it. But that still wasn't the word I was thinking of. Dun, 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 dun. Joseph Stalin, holistic. Caesarean section. All right, I'm going to click show the answer on this one with much chagrin. Let's click it and see what's up. Oh my God. C7 to B8, exchange pawn for a knight. Check, mate, game over. Oh, should have seen it from a mile away. That's genius. That's genius. So they're saying you go here, pawn takes this guy and becomes a knight. God, why didn't I think of that? It's because you always think that the pawn is going to be a queen, but you can turn the pawn into anything. All right, so now that we've been warmed up with that piece of shit, let's try this one again. What the fuck does this one mean? Your pieces are white. You need to win in half a move. Half a move. All right, maybe it is just this knight taking this pawn. Nope, he could take there. Assuming we can kind of see the grid. They like deliberately don't show you the grid. He's there. Queen. Like, looks like this queen like dodges that. Queen there. What about rook here? No. Queen there. Nope. Queen. Knight. Bishop. Oh, this is an annoying piece of shit puzzle right here. Vexed beyond belief. Demon Channel. That's what I wrote. What did you write? Logos? I swear there's a different word than logos too, but it's like a word they use in colleges. I could think of it if it was the morning. I can't think of it because it's the evening. Well, yeah, Cheddar Jaga. I don't get that either. I think it's like, I think they might be saying half a move means, well, I was thinking it just means white moving, and a whole move would be if white and black moves. That's one move in the game. But let's just view. White should move the rook from A1 to D1, hence complete the castling move. Oh, it was half a move. That is like stupid. That was a trick question. So I think they're saying that your king was here and you started to castle. So you move your king there, then this rook goes here, and that puts him in check, and it is checkmate. All right, so far two puzzles, two have pissed me off. Oh, so the solution a few moves back. Did you say that it's the castle? I'm sorry, I'm scrolling up. Oh, sorry, on the previous one. You got it, dear man. Dear man knows what's up. Sorry, I missed it. It's all there for everyone to see, though. It's the full record. Counting squares. What is this? Can you count the number of squares in a chessboard? What the heck? Can you count the number of squares in a chessboard? Oh, don't tell me. Is it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Okay, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's hard for me. Yeah. So it's 7 times 4 from each corner. So it's 28 plus 64. No, but it's different than that too. What if you do it like it's 8 times 8, then the next one is 1, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 by 7. So if we can write this down, maybe it's 8 times 8 plus 7 times 7 plus 3, 1, 2, 3. It's hard to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, I guess. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. So 6. 5 times 5, 4 times 4, 3 times 3, plus 2 times 2, plus 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 9, plus 25, plus 36, plus 49, plus 64. All right, I'm off. I wish we had a calculator. We have a calculator in the chat. Alex Yerby, there's a bunch everywhere. Jitter Jar, 64 little ones. So 64 plus 49. What is that? 13, 7, 11, 113? Is that freaking it? No, yes. 113 plus 36, 9. 149 plus 25 is 4. 7, 174 plus 25 plus 9, 183 plus 4, 187 plus 1 is 188. $188. Let's try that. Okay. You guys feel like it could be way off? 204, son of the bitch. I think I just added wrong. It was what I said, but I added wrong. Dun, 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 dun. I missed the 16. I went from 25 to 9. If I add 16 to my freaking 16. Yeah, then I get 204. Anyway, I feel like we pretty much solved that one. Trick chessboard square count riddle. Oh, this is the same. What? That do not contain a rook. And they say it's a trick. Oh, and there's no visual. How many squares of any size can you find on the chessboard which do not contain a rook? And so I guess all the squares contain a rook. So you'd say 0. What? 128? I don't know. Man. I'm vexed. 32. Popular chess rectangle count riddle. Number of rectangles? Good God, sir. It'd be a lot more than 204. Ken Jackman, try 3D chess. What even is that? Is that we'll try it some other time on the stream. By the way, is everyone signing up for Hotel Story? Paula starts, don't fall for it, Narwhal. The trick question. Too late. I already stepped right in that piece of shit. Literal piece of shit. I stepped in it. I went to school in San Diego, learned what gangs were and how to fight, not maths. He's studying 40K orc flags? Student baller sideshow? That sort of like an alternative. Duals throw up 2 windows though, support ballers too. Alex VRB, I unsigned up. How dare you, Alex VRB? Alex VRB, if I'm not if I'm not mistaken, don't you cherish being the first backer? And don't I have some control over that? I can give you the inside scoop. Do you want said inside scoop? I dangle it in front of you like a carrot. We'll see. What will you do for me, Alex VRB? Just kidding. I owe you one because of all your memes for Creative Block. They're so great. Eric Couples, what the frick is this? Dude, we're getting vexed by some stupid-ass chess puzzles. Where I live. Okay, this is the last one on this. I have a few other windows we'll go through. Let me see. I live in land and resided by 30 men and 2 women. All of us dress up in classic black and white apparels. The moment one of us moves, battle begins. What am I? What? You live on a chessboard, right, or something? Okay, that was stupid. I almost wish I got that one wrong. Trick brain teaser. Oh my God, don't fall for it. If it says trick, just don't fall for it, okay? Tanu and Sadaf play 11 games of chess. Both Tanu and Sadaf win exactly the same number of games. There is no tie matches. Explain. Son of a bitch. I'm vexed again. Didn't take long for me to get vexed. When I was de-vexed slightly because of that stupid one. That was nevertheless very easy. Tanu and Sadaf play 11 games of chess. They win exactly the same number of games. And there's no tie. Play 11 games of chess. What is this? This says it's easy too. Difficulty 2-star. I'm so vexed. 11. I think I have an idea. They're on the same team. That's my guess. Then they're playing some other fool. Some poor fool. View answer. They were not playing against each other. Ha! Take that. Stupid ass brain teaser. Score 1 for Narwhal. Son of a bitch. Number 8. Short, tricky riddle. You son of a bitch. Okay. The horse jumps over the queen. Strangely, there is no scratch on her. How come? Because she's a chess piece. Because they're chess pieces. Okay. Enough of that. Hold on. But we're going to do a few more, but we're going to do... Okay. Let's see if these might be terrible too. Listen carefully, the father started. If you color all the squares of the chessboard so that the king enters a different colored square in each move, how many different colors do you need? The son thought about the riddle for a while, and after a couple of hours, he ran to his father to tell him the correct answer. Now it is your turn. How many different colors are needed? So right now there's 2 colors. This kind of says down here. No, I was thinking like, so you need 64 colors and then they're all different. And then no matter what, it's different. So that was like my first, but then it says the very first thought might be that we only need black and white squares because then it's actually is changing colors every move. But keep in mind that the king can reach a lot of different squares in each move. So then, yeah, he can move from white to white. He can move here. So I possibly have an idea. I think you might need 4 colors. It's like my random guess. Just because this idea he can move diagonally is the same. So if you alternate the diagonals too, then he would always be different. So black would be like black and red, and white is white and blue. So 4 colors total. Although it might be like, I was wondering if this is also made black and white, kind of somehow, like, but I don't think that's it. I think it's 4. But how do we click to know? How do we know the answer? How much time you need? So it varied a lot while testing. How many colors? Is this flip, notation, engine, download? Is this a, oh, look at this. I can drag my king. See, that's what I'm telling you. This is what I like doing. Woo! Woo! Back Hotel Story, everyone, if you haven't. Jeto Jaga, 62. Yeah, like besides black and white or something. But 4 is my guess. But is there answers at the bottom? How do we find the answer? Am I missing it? Logic riddles for chess players, 5. 5 logic riddles here. So, chess base, mega package. How many colors? We color the OU, mind you. One day the father asked, blah, blah, blah. Is it like not loading all the way? How many different colors are needed? Oh, maybe if I click, no. The white always wins solution. Well, I'm gonna see if I can Google it in another window, I guess. How many? I'm gonna say how many colors chess solution. I can't find it. Maybe we'll just say it's 4. It's got to be. Is chat seeing something I'm not seeing? Is the Greek word maxim? No, but that's an okay word too. It's, what is it? It's, yeah, I don't know. The little icons. No, that says flipboard notation. What is that? Yeah. Engine download. Now it's your turn. How many colors are needed? Maybe we just scroll more down. Discuss. No, then it ends. Arnie. Arnie, you son bitch, you didn't even give us the answer. And it says 5, and I only see 2. What is that if I open this? Philosophical. White always wins. Blah, 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 blah. Then it has the solution down here. Well, what's this one say? This is almost too much to read. It's annoying me already, but the two chess grandmasters, Fritz 17 and Houdini Komodo, were playing against each other for many years to find out who's the best chess player in the world, but their score was absolutely equal because the player with white pieces always won. In order to settle the question of who the best player was once and for all, a tournament was organized with the first prize being millions of dollars and second place winning nothing. The tournament rules were simple. If a player won 2 games in a row, he won the tournament. After each game, the color of the pieces changed. Unfortunately, the competition took the expected outcome. After 100 games, both players had won 50 of their games with the white pieces. Not only did they win with ease, the player with black pieces was basically without a chance every time. In order to finally end the tournament, the managers of the competition made a decision. One last decisive game will be played tomorrow, Fritz. The player who started the tournament with the white pieces will choose one of two small paper rolls. On one paper roll, the word black is written, on the other is white. Whatever roll he takes, he'll receive the color written on the roll and play the game. Both players protested the outcome would be pure luck now. Whoever gets the white pieces will win. But the tournament managers stood by their decision. Little did Fritz know that Houdini and the tournament managers were working together, trying to manipulate the outcome of the tournament. Houdini was happy to give the prize money to the managers if he would succeed. He didn't care about the money. He only wanted to win. It was Houdini's idea to end the tournament with one last game. That evening, before the last game started, this is ridiculous. Fritz went to the hotel bar. All of a sudden, the second of Fritz ran into the hotel bar and sat right next to him to tell him something important. The second, I guess you have a second if you're in a competition. It's like your assistant or whatever. Fritz, I remained in the tournament hall because the managers asked me to help them set up the chairs for the audience. And while I was doing this, I heard some voices coming from the manager's room. I went over and could peek inside the half-open door. To my big surprise, I could see the tournament managers writing the colors on small paper rolls. Can you believe it? They wrote black on both rolls. They want you to lose, Fritz. Fritz thought for a short moment and said to his second, "Thank you for telling me. Have no fear. All will be fine. I know what to do." At that time, Houdini went to the tournament hall to see the managers. He asked them, "Did you write black on both paper rolls as I told you?" Did you write black on both paper rolls as I told you? The managers answered, "Yes, we did, Houdini." Houdini continued, "And did Fritz second see that you were writing the words down on the paper rolls?" "Yes, Houdini. And one of us followed him and confirmed that he told it to Fritz, just as you predicted it would happen." It's like a real life chess game. Houdini sat down with a smile. "Wonderful. Fritz is a very smart fellow. Now proceed with the last step so I can win the game tomorrow." I have questions, but we'll keep reading. This is good. This is actually a fun little story here. The managers nodded and took the necessary step. The next day, to Houdini's and the manager's big surprise, Fritz 17 could win the tournament with the white pieces. What did he do? The next day, to Houdini's and the manager's big surprise, Fritz 17 could win the tournament with white pieces. Could win the tournament with the white pieces. Houdini sat down with a smile. "Wonderful. Fritz is a very smart fellow." What did he do? Keep in mind, one last necessary step was taken by the managers and Houdini to guarantee his success, which backfired heavily. Logic doesn't help here, but it could be used. It should be used in a good dose. Many solutions are possible, but one in particular is used for the outcome. The unrealistic fact that players always win with the white pieces carries the puzzle forward and shouldn't be taken too seriously. In the end, Fritz wins with the white pieces anyway. And then I'm going to scroll and make sure we don't. Yeah. Is that? It said, I accidentally read, it said dumb pawn solution. But I'm like, what? This is not the dumb pawn up here, is it? This is white always wins. It's another one where we probably can't find the solution somewhere. What did Fritz do? If they got two pieces of paper, black and white, he somehow had his own, he slipped in. What was the last step that they took too? Oh, so annoying. Because they didn't even need to do like the extra 3 steps to have Fritz know. They could have just booby trapped him with just the 2. But if they choose, he could have somehow let Houdini have to choose. This one is like, I have no idea, so I kind of just want to see. I'll check the chats. What we doing? We're looking at stupid, vexing chess problems. To his big surprise, spooky ghost stories. That'd be good for October, actually. Some, what do you call it? Creepypastas. I believe everybody who shared their ideas wrote in the comment section found some correct solution, but there are plenty of different formulas to arrive at the solution. So what the frick? The dumb pawn solution. This is not the solution to white always wins. So it should be like a white always wins solution. White always wins solution. Oh, it's right here. What? So it's like the solutions are on different pages. What's going on? Okay, so we can read this though. In this philosophical puzzle, practically everyone wrote a comment to the solution and got it right. Well done, and thank you once again for your interest, analysis, and thoughts. Here's the intentional solution. Fritz knows about both paper rolls, so he will eat one of them. The other paper roll will show the word black, leading to the conclusion that the paper roll he ate read white. Houdini knows that Fritz knows about the paper rolls, so he will change both rolls to read white instead of black. Oh my God, this seems, I don't know if we read it wrong or what. I had no idea you can eat stuff to solve this shit. I don't know. But, so Fritz knows that Houdini knows that Fritz knows about the paper rolls. So Fritz won't eat one of the paper rolls, but instead take it and read it and play white to win the tournament. Yeah, so that's kind of like that scene in The Princess Bride. What does he say? Never bet with a Sicilian when death is on the line. Okay, so we can probably find this. The how many colors solution is probably like on another page. Logic rules for chess players. How many colors? Oh, and the guess was 4. So, supposedly, that's my crazy guess. Is there like a search? I can just search for within the site. How many colors? More. Mega package. What is this? No, that's not it. Back. I don't want to do cookies. I don't know what they are. Vexes me. White always wins solution. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's one of these. So we're on 5. So it'd be like one of these links would maybe show the answer. I'm a little confused about this. Is it here for the dumb pawn? Philosophical riddles. White always wins. What? White always wins. Dumb pawn solution. This is just the worst organization of a site I've ever seen. Chess Bay tactic session. What is this? Logic grills. 5 checks boxes. And then at the bottom, they'll show you there's no links. Part 2. Black or white. When will white, blah, blah, blah. 5 chess boxes. So they tell you this. They tell you the solution on the next post. So when was this one? How many colors? Does it say when this was posted? So there should be like logic rails for chess players 6, and that will tell us the answer. Openings, AZ, support, learn, shop. Can I search? White always wins. Discuss, submit, 4. See, it goes up to 4 and it tells us the answer to the previous one. How many colors? Let me search. I'll just try searching like the website and see if I can get the link. How many colors solution chess base variation colors, use of colors, logic riddles for chess players 5. Let me see if I can find logic riddles for chess players 6. Chess base. Oh, dude, I found it. Okay. So this should, maybe if we scroll down, give us the answers. Solution to the last riddle. How many colors? Thank you again for participation in the comment section. It says the logic riddles is enjoyable. You were all correct. The answer is simply 4 colors. How this, it might look like this, shown below. Boom. Maybe that was like not a super hard one. 6. Solution to the last riddle. How many colors? Well, I'm kind of all riddled out because it just took all the time just to find the solution. James Rockin, what's up? 11 Jess. Alex, read my answer. Narwhal, he takes one roll and says, this is my pick, but I should reveal my pick by looking at the other roll. Oh, that's good. That is a good answer. That's genius. The chess people running the website. One second. My phone is ringing. My dad's calling, but I think I'll get it later. Chess riddles. Chess riddles. What else? Maybe 11D chess. Learn the nuke for chess. I nuke. One word win every time. I'm a little curious what my dad was calling. Makes me want to just end the stream and call him back, I guess. Shit. I was going to wrap it up anyway, though. But I don't know. It's kind of fun doing chess riddles once in a while. We got a few of those right. Got a few wrong. Got vexed by a few. What else? I don't know. I was going to show the first 8 pages of Hotel Story. Do you guys want to see that? I kind of already showed it a little bit, but let me see. Dun, 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 dun. 1 second. Alex Ruby says good night. Okay, well maybe I won't show it. I'll do it later. Because I might do it more. I might do it tomorrow night when a few more people are watching. Some of you guys probably have already seen it too, because I showed it on Creative Block. But the first 8 pages are pretty sweet. So sign up. Get ready on Sunday. Hotel Story. It's a good one. This one's going to be open 4 months. I really want everyone who has a chance to back it. Even if people sometime, because I've been releasing lots of campaigns, so people, some of them have been backing every other Narwhal campaign. So I'm like, this one, we're staying open a long time. I want anyone who fancies a good Narwhal book should get on board with Hotel Story. The other thing about it, I was saying is, and I don't know if this helps the pitch or not, but this one is like the most possibly destined to one day be a movie or an animated movie. Like just from the script is the most like tight and cinematic and kind of confident. Like it knows exactly what it is. Whereas Earthbound is kind of funky in a kind of awesome way, but Hotel Story is like a lot more like the sense of identity is like super strong. Like this is a horror romp. You know what I mean? I don't know. F in the chat says, intrigue us. Will you ever write a chess related story? I mean, maybe, probably not though. But I was thinking that almost could be a fun comic if it was about a chess match and you actually showed the moves. But that's a little bit, hoity-toity or whatever. Yeah, this is the one that's going to get me to sell out. Seriously, Hotel Story. Life or death, Jess. There's a Spider-Man story like that, and I think maybe a Star Trek story like that, but it's fun. Actually, there's a old artsy fartsy movie that's really good called The Seventh Seal, where a knight plays chess with death, but they don't really show the game too much. That movie's cool, nevertheless. They're going to do that in Harry Potter. We make the comic equivalent of a puzzle movie. Is that like Clue, kind of? You're saying that could be fun. I would think about something like that. That's fun. Yeah. Shit. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna turn off my camera and mute and call my dad back, and then I might chat a little bit more. Hey, what's up? That was kind of funny. That was my dad being like, "How you doing? Mom said you were a little bummed because uh, you didn't get emailed back from a few people because I told they were here painting. My mom's painting this room, and so they're hanging out. And I was like, because we finished Hotel Story, me and Jared, and I immediately sent it to like 6 people, but I think two of the people I haven't heard back from, or I might have sent like, "Do you want to read it?" And I didn't hear back from them. Like, I wish they would hit me back, but. And my dad's like, I didn't know that you were bummed. I'm like, I wasn't that bummed. It's fine. Thanks. And I'm like, that's sweet of you to check in. Thank you, I guess. But also, yeah. But yeah, maybe we can talk just a little bit about Hotel Story. Hotel Story, story. Like one of the things I've been thinking about is there is stuff, a little difference between comics and movies. And it's something that I do like about movies. It's that the movies, it's like this, it's the sense of self-identity is like one way you can kind of put it. Like I know freaking Jake Hype Wizard, he DM'd me, he's thinking about doing a slasher. So like that's like, yeah, if you do a slasher, you know exactly what you got to do. And then within that, it's very like free, infinite possibilities to make it your own. And I think that's like really fun. I love the minimalist simplicity of a lot of movies are like that. Like slashers, for example, like uh, I watched Terrifier, the horror movie, which is funny because I never wanted to watch it because people were saying like it's so awesome, it's like so much torture, and I was like, I don't need to watch that. But then someone said it's so fun, so it's people quit talking about the torture and they were saying it's fun, and I was like, fun? I'll throw it on, and it was fun. I was watching it at night. It's like the plot is like two girls coming home from a party, kind of run afoul of a serial killer clown, and that's like the plot. Basically the plot is like literally one sentence, and then the story is like 90 minutes of things happening. That's all fun, except what happened with that movie is I finished it, or I fell asleep 30 minutes in, so I finished it the next night. So I was telling everyone that day, I was like, it's not even that bad, it's not that gory, it's like it is a truly fun little horror movie, I really enjoy it. Then I finished it that night, I immediately hit play. The very next scene was him cutting a naked girl in half from the top down with a saw. And it obviously doesn't show everything, but you're just like, oh my god, it is torture, it is what everyone said, it's not what I thought, it's not fun, this is not fun. And so it's kind of both things, but that it's a good example that the plot is like so simple. And I do love that about that movies do that a little more than comics. um and comics can do it if they want, and comics sometimes like the weirdness, wonkiness of comics, the fact that it is like that you can do anything, and sometimes a lot of times people, it's like they're just doing stuff they've been thinking about their whole life that they want to put in a story, so it can be just kind of fun that way. But it can be like, in some ways they can be overpacked, but that's what's fun, is like if it's not overpacked, but not that does it can't be like boring. So and it doesn't even need to be like minimalist. And that's like Hotel Story is like firing on all cylinders. There's a ton of stuff happening at any moment. It's like the least boring, or you could say it's got the strongest narrative drive of anything I've worked on. It has the most of where I think people will be like saying they read it in one sitting or whatever and wanting to read part two. But part one, even cooler, is the structure really is like part one is like its own story. It does have a climax and it does end, but then it continues in part two. Um, and part two is not drawn yet, but it is written, and there's tons of awesome shit happens in part 2. But yeah, so it's like, the story for Hotel Story is the witch casting the mass sacrifice spell from the top floor suite, and that's it. Like, that's the plot. And then that plays out over 300 pages of tons of stuff happening. You got characters. Every character has a backstory, a reason they're there. They have interactions. They have developments, friendships, alliances, betrayals. Earthbound's a little bit like that. This is when I say the strategy is the story. Those are my favorite stories, because those are when you don't necessarily usually have plot holes, and you just get to go by what the characters would do in the moment, kind of like a D&D campaign or whatever. But it's like a curated D&D campaign that's meant to be the most entertaining and have the most cool stuff happen. Alex VRB, it's the least boring shit I've ever done. Hype Wizard, tons of points of view. Yeah, well, it's. I made Jared watch a movie before we started writing, and the movie I made him watch is called Demons 2. And I think Demons 2 might be free on YouTube. Let me see, even just look at that right now. I'm just curious. So it's kind of this very specific. It is on YouTube for free. I recommend it. And Demons 1 and 2 are both great. But Demons 2 takes place in an apartment complex where demons go on the loose, and you literally follow, I don't know how many, maybe 8, maybe more characters. And then like it's, like Game of Thrones does that, but on a much larger scale. We're constantly cutting between, check in with them, they're over here in the building, what are they up to? Check in with them, they're over here in the building, what are they up to? Check in with them. And now they met up, what are they doing? And then like they met up, so now there's 2 groups that have kind of met up, and then like, are they going to meet? And there's characters that you deliberately hate, that you hate, and you're rooting for them to get killed, and then they aren't getting killed, so they keep surviving. You're like, would this fucking asshole just fucking die already? There's like that kind of, but Demons 2 has a lot of that. It's so Hotel Story is like that structure. The thing we added on top of it is just, it's our lore, our world building, our characters, and there's kind of one more little ingredient in the mix, or maybe even 2, you could say, but it's kind of the magic system within of the witch battle, because there's one liminal angel is like that's like the team. There's like these crime solving angels. They're trying to take the witch out, but they can only send one in because of her initial spell. And he can possess dead bodies. So it's him versus the witch, kind of the humans in the middle. And yeah. And then the last little piece of the magic spell is, well, I guess maybe I won't even say, but there's a lot of fun aspects of how the spell works, and the steps it requires to be carried out, what exactly the witch is bargaining for. She has her own little backstory. We actually did have some flashbacks written about her from like 600 years ago, but we ended up cutting them. That's like an interesting example where I know a lot of people might be like, oh, I would love to see that, but it's funny, like the story is legitimately better if you leave those out. If it's more, you actually like the witch even more when it's more, you get to fill in the blanks in your own mind. But that's what's funny is I think she's kind of likable, even though she's the bad guy, which didn't necessarily do that on purpose. It kind of came up as we're writing. And you're still rooting against her, but I'm trying to think, like sometimes Disney movies have that or whatever, like Hades and Hercules, like when the bad guy is actually like super fun whenever they're on screen, or on the page or whatever. So she's kind of like that. Elmer J. Hyper. Fight them all. Alex VRB. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that's kind of part of it, is the fact that it's this kind of pretty simple story, even though it's 300 pages. So actually one thing that comes up when you do that, and me and Jared talked about this, the original title for the movie, like the working title, where I had been conceiving it, I kind of brought a lot of it to him and then we finished it together. But I brought at least the initial concept. And I want to I'm gonna have him on the stream. We're gonna try and remember a little bit of exactly how it, because I had a whole like thing and I had written like 40 pages of initial script, but I threw it all out and we kind of started over with a similar kind of concept, but just changing it slightly. And then it worked and we made it all the way to the end that way. And we were like plugging in everything. But it was called Hotel Gag Story. And I was telling Jared, we got to fit as many gags as possible. And we define gags as these are not jokes. These are like if you're storyboarding a movie, they're usually storyboarded. They aren't scripted. Gags, there's a subgenre of movie called the gag movie, where it's just how many of these can you pack into one movie. Like Gremlins 2 is like that. Evil Dead 2 is like that. Mad Max Fury Road is like that. They're kind of rare. Like there's those three. There's a few other that are sort of like that. Like the Coen brothers did one like that. What's it? The one where Nicolas Cage steals the baby. That one has sections with lots of gags in it. But the gags, like, yeah, they aren't jokes. They're like storyboarded moments of action that have a little tinge of cleverness to them. And that's like what they are. There's another definition too, is there are moments of gore that have a tinge of cleverness to them. So like a gag, like Evil Dead is packed with them. But Evil Dead, for example, there's an entire battle that Ash has with his possessed hand in multiple phases. Like he eventually disconnects it from his own body because it's effing with him so much. It's like punching him and shit. So he chops it off. But then he has to contend with it when it's not connected to his body. But there's one scene where it actually does knock him out, and then so he's knocked out, and it starts dragging him across the floor like this, like with its hands, like that. That's a gag. Like that's like, oh my god, this is hilarious. I just have to keep watching because this is funny. And so that's like an example. Evil Dead is just, there's so many, and it's so fun and genius to watch Evil Dead for inspiration for gags. But that's one too, like I don't know if too many of those, it's not traditionally a comic thing. I'm like, yeah, it's more of a movie thing, and even then it's a little bit rare. A lot of animation is packed with gags because I do say it is a storyboarded thing often. So storyboard will think of little visual fun aspects to spice up scenes and developments on the screen or whatever. But so we did a comic where the whole goal was to just pack it with gags. And so as a result too, the comic is like 80 or 90% action. You could almost define it as like literally the entire thing is one giant action scene. But then there's like little moments where it dies down and they're hiding and they get to talk in a room together or whatever. But in that way, you could compare it to what's that awesome action movie that all takes place? The Raid Redemption. It's kind of similar like that. It's like mostly real time. Like the 300 pages of comic is just one night. It takes place over the course of like 4 or 5 hours. I think it's actually literally 5 hours because the spell starts at 7 and ends at midnight. And so 300 pages documenting 5 hours in one night in a hotel. Yeah. Bruised Kind says the Turin House trailer. Elmer J says, I think that's Army of Darkness. Army of Darkness has a bunch of fun sequences and gags like that too. But the hand one is Evil Dead 2. Army of Darkness has when he gets a doppelganger and gets possessed, and there's some stuff there. I'm trying to remember. Oh, there's a bunch of mini ashes, like tiny, like Gulliver's Travels style. They like tie him up, and yeah, the little evil ashes times the floor. Sorry, I'm reading backwards. So, Raising Arizona, yeah. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to having Jared on the stream on Sunday. He won't be on the morning stream, but I'm going to do 2 streams. He'll be in the afternoon stream, and we'll do a little bit of a intro interview, kind of introduce him to everyone, and then we'll talk a lot about our process making the book even, and some behind the scenes stuff, because it was a pretty fun collaboration. It was a long period of time from when we started writing the script together to when the book's done. I mean, it's at least, I think it was 2 years from beginning to end now. I'm pretty sure, but it might have been less, but I think it was 2 years. Yeah. The Turin House trailer. Your thoughts on the master's last film? What who's the master in this case? I was like talking about Tarantino, Scorsese. Scorsese has a new movie coming out. Um, and I don't it looks okay. But I don't know. I forget the Turnhouse. I haven't heard of it. I haven't seen it yet. I could check it out. Yeah, Alex Withero. Terminator is a bit like that. One long chase. Yeah, I love Terminator so much. It's so fun. So yeah, I'm trying to think like what movies are like that and what aren't. Not all movies are like that. So I could name I mean, maybe this is obvious, but I could name another movie that I love from that same era, like RoboCop. RoboCop is like a little bit more like, it's still like kind of simple and fun, but there's like a lot of stuff that happens, a lot of characters. It's pretty epic. There's a huge backstory with like what the big company is doing to Detroit, and even within the company, there's a plot line of like RoboCop's a little bit more like Game of Thrones. Like it actually could be a novel. It's not minimalist at all. Um, One that is, and even when I say minimalist, I mean like it's almost, I want to use the word cinematic. So like cinematic minimalist, and it's like a lot of movies do fit into this, like a ton. But the other Mad Max movie, Road Warrior, and Fury Road are like that too. Like the plot for Road Warrior is really fun and really awesome. The entire first 20 minutes, there's almost, he doesn't speak. Other characters speak, but Mad Max doesn't speak. He's just like, he's up on the hill with his like eyeglass looking at people, kind of looking at the situation of this oil base that's under siege from this huge gang. And the it's like so simple what happens. Sometimes when the plot gets simple like that too, it just feels, it kind of feels like more real. You get away from any kind of plot hole stuff, because that's kind of the stuff that or plot convenience, I should say. Plot convenience, because that's not even necessarily a plot hole. Plot convenience can be like, yeah, it makes sense, but it's like this had to happen for the story to continue, and it just feels like hokey. And that more than anything else takes me out of a story. And as I say that too, I was like, Hotel Story is a little bit different genre too, because of all the gags and the cleverness. There is some serendipity that is more on the clever end of things, and that you almost could be like, hey, is that plot convenient? But I did think through some of that in my head where I'm like, no, because a lot of times there's two characters and it's plot convenient a little bit for one, but then it's super bad for another. So it's kind of still just like stuff that's happening, kind of. And a lot of it has to do with the geography of the hotel is all like a big part of the story, the layout and the map. And it's not like overt. It's not like we give you a map and we show and talk through everything. But we did have that when we were writing it. We had the map out and we were making sure everything lined up. And so there isn't potholes in that regard. But yeah, plot convenience I can't stand. And that's one cool thing about Road Warrior and I think Terminator. There's like no plot convenience. It's all just like they're in the shit. This is what happens. They do sort of manage to get out of it by the end, but a bunch of bullshit happens, a bunch of bad shit happens, a bunch of people die, and then they're kind of out of it. Alex Rodero, I miss 80s action movies so much. They're like fantasies released directly from the id, no filters. Yeah, I kind of agree. RoboCop is a western set in the future. Yeah, you could probably say that. It would be, if it's a western, the plot, it wouldn't be he comes back as a robot cowboy. It would just be that he almost died, survived, and then gets to like kind of go get revenge or whatever, which is a fun trope in itself. Children of Men is one long chase scene. Yeah, maybe that's like almost because, well, Terminator's like that. Children of Men is like that. Road Warrior's not exactly like that, but it is super minimalist, um, and fun. And it's not a minimalist movie. Like there's a ton of characters, ton of action, ton of awesome cars, and but the plot is minimalist. So if you get the simple plot, you can pack it with tons of awesome fun shit. That's what Hotel Story is. And it's kind of one of the first that I've done like that. I'm trying to think, like Foreign Agent was minimalist, but it actually is minimalist, Foreign Agent. Um, but it does have that kind of quality that I recognized it then when I was writing, and I was like, I do like that. But one thing interesting, Foreign Agent, the script, I think it's like 70 pages, maybe a little less, 68 pages, which is not long enough to be a movie. So if it was a movie, it would be just barely longer than an hour. So it's just not enough stuff happens in it. It ends up being a 180-page comic, and it feels like watching a movie while you're reading it. And it might take about 90 minutes to read it even. So you could maybe make the 68 pages. It's weird. You could draw it out. I don't know, but it's a very minimalist script, 68 pages. But Hotel Story ended up being 100 pages. So there is like a lot of stuff more going on. Fury Road was better than Dune. Yeah, Fury Road is a lot of fun. That's a good example of the simple story where you pack in a ton of shit. Plus, it kind of has the gags, all the gags. Like, and again, like gags aren't funny. It's not what I'm talking about, but it's like I'm talking about storyboarded awesome shit. We follow the guy who storyboarded that movie. He's on Twitter. I can't think of his name right now, but he's a comic guy. He's awesome, and he's based on Twitter. He's cool. He's buddies with Mark Millar. They're both Scottish or whatever, I think. But he storyboarded that movie, and he invented a lot of those gags. Like one thing about that movie is, I think Max's boot has its own plot line. Like his boot, they track it. Like it has its own little journey of various people possessing it, stealing it, grabbing it, losing it. His car has its own plot line of where it is in the action, and he notices it and sees it. He's like, "That's my car," and I think his car does blow up halfway through, and he's like, "Ah!" All that stuff is like super fun. They have one gag where like, yeah, they're like siphoning gas and spitting it into the engines. They crawl it on the front to make the cars go faster. They're spitting gas directly into like the engine basically, and like that's like awesome. That scene was so cool. So anytime you can pack that kind of stuff in, and yeah, I wonder, Fury Road, like you could make a comic of it, but it just wouldn't quite translate because there are like strengths and weaknesses for movies and comics. Like that level of the speed and fun is kind of better as a movie. But yeah, I don't know. Within Hotel Story, it works as a comic really well. But yeah, Demons too. I almost want to watch it tonight. I might end this and throw it on. I would watch it on stream, but I'm worried I get a strike. I don't know how that works. It's free on YouTube, but I just don't know. F in the chat. I can make fun of the Mad Max movies, but they're great. Fury Road had no soul at all. It was a bunch of grunting and a 2-hour car chase. To each their own. F in the chat. I felt a little soul in there. I liked it. It's funny, you know what it was? One random little thing about it that was good. It's Charlize Theron. She sucks in real life. She's terrible. She transed her kids. She adopts African boys and turns them into little girls. So she's like the worst Hollywood stereotype of that kind of shit. And I think there's a lot of stories of her being a dick in real life and stuff. And in a lot of movies, she's not even that good of an actress. but some she's okay. And I think there's stories of her being a bitch on set and everything. Even I don't know if there even Fury Road if there was or not. I think she didn't get along with Tom Hardy, and I think Tom Hardy is cool. I'm pretty sure, but she did a great job in that movie. And it was one decision that she did, and it was that she chose to stay feminine. She didn't just even the way she talked and walked. She didn't some like girls. If you put them in an action scene, they go, give me that. They like make their voice gruffer and they like kind of try to walk a little, like try to be a man, and it's terrible. But it's cool that in Fury Road, Charlize Theron's like she talks quiet the entire time. She talks like a woman. She doesn't change her voice. She walks like a woman, and that shit is like badass. Like it works really well. F in the chat. Hollywood is vile. I wrote a little YouTube script for a joke about how vile Hollywood is, but it's like too. It's kind of like too try hard cringy, so I don't know if I'll make it. But it was kind of making me laugh. I might read it sometime on stream, making fun of how stupid Hollywood is. I agree with that, and I kind of think like Free Road's a lot of fun, but the Road Warrior is the best still. And Free Road might have a little better action, technically, you could say, but the Road Warrior is like so cool. There's one thing Road Warrior does too. It does. I wonder if you could call this a trope, but it does the anticlimactic death, where they kind of build up a second to Max. Like there's another leader who's another alpha dog guy, and they're both cool, and I think they kind of almost still don't really get along, but they're you get a feeling like they're gonna get along if they get through this. They're gonna do like the clasp thing, like the oh yeah, but that guy, he just dies like kind of randomly and quickly in the middle of the action, and then he's dead. And there's a girl like that too. It's like almost a like borderline romantic interest in Max. They have a few exchanges, and they're like, oh, if they both live, they're gonna like fall in love. She just dies like the end. She's dead. And so, as opposed to if it's anticlimactic when it's kind of fast like that, and then it hits you a little bit harder as the audience, and it feels more real because that's what it would be like in real life. As opposed to again, like if on the gag side, on the more clever side, you could build it up and give them like a moment and they get their good death, you know? Like, and that it's funny, either way works. It's I kind of like that how it makes me feel the random anticlimactic death. It makes you feel like bad, but in a good way, in like a cool movie effing with you kind of way. Road Warrior is silly in retrospect, but the characters are real and you feel them. Yeah, it does have a good balance of where I was saying the gag stuff. It's not packed to the point where it feels clever, to the point where you know you're participating in a story. And then because that's like the spectrum on this end, you have no cleverness, it's trying to be super real. Any cleverness means it's not real. It means the guiding hand of an author is felt. And so you want to hide that completely. There's no cleverness. And maybe there's a point where you can still hide it and have a little cleverness, and that's kind of cool. And then there's a point where you can have some cleverness and the audience kind of is aware, but it's a fun romp. That's kind of what Hotel Story is. And then if you keep going, it can almost get too clever and it's like cringy and annoying and try hard. And then past that, it even like can break where it's like even the cleverness itself becomes not clever because it's so clever that it's just like trash. And anyway, Fury Road's a step back. It's not the fun romp type of clever. But yeah, and I don't know the gags too. But the gags like Evil Dead 2, you could almost argue that it's like on that Road Warrior level. Because as far as the cleverness, it's like only the gore gags. It's not like a cleverness of like any kind of like Evil Dead 2. The main plot point is 3 more people arrive. That's the plot. Like he's dealing with shit in the cabin for like an hour, and it's all hilarious and crazy. He's fighting his own hand and shit. Then 3 more people arrive. That's the plot. Obviously not clever at all. Comparing Hotel Story to Mad Max is the best way to sell it to me. Cool. Yeah, it is kind of in that tradition, but it's funny, it's different, obviously. Yeah, but speaking of like the older cinematic minimalist style, another one that's like sticks in my head a lot is what's it called? Suspiria. You guys seen Suspiria? That's a really fun one because if you look at that plot, so it's like that's another one that's against witches, and it's a little more. I don't know if you could say mean spirited, because actually, yeah, like Hotel Story is not mean spirited. Like there's even a line that like people are dying, and the one guy who can possess dead bodies, they do address that like you're killing people, like because they aren't dead yet. If they get possessed by the spell, they kind of become the bad guys, and then you're killing them. And he's like, you don't understand. Like by killing them, I'm helping their soul escape the spell, and if they don't escape, then they become part of the sacrifice, and that's like a fate worse than death. So it's like even the killing is like, in that case, when this good guy does it, it's has this air of that it's like a little more tolerable or whatever. But then yeah, like Suspiria, the killing is like, nope, they're fucking like dead. She's dead. You like her? She's dead. You like her? She's dead. In a horrible, horrible death, and like painful screaming death. And the witches are like evil as all fuck. Whereas Hotel Story, the witch is like a little bit. She's obviously very evil, but she's like a little bit likable. But Suspiria. So yeah, it's this dark, borderline mean-spirited witch murdering torture story that takes place in a dance school. But if you zoom out, it's a Disney movie about a princess entering a possessed castle and doing battle with a witch. A princess entering. And that version of the story, it fits still like beat for beat like a fairy tale. Like it's an enchanted castle where she doesn't quite know what's going on. She has to kind of solve the mystery of what's going on, figures out it is that the castle's under possession by witches or by a witch. And then she has to defeat the witch at the end. And I'm like, that is so fun that it's kind of masked. It's a horror movie masked with this like fairy tale kind of thing. And yeah, Hotel Story also kind of is a little bit, kind of because of the liminal angel, there's a little bit of that more level up fun element of it. Alex Wither, if there aren't any giant souped up trucks and cars in Hotel Story, I'm going to rage now. After the chat, woman. Different, but still has a supercharged Falcon. Are there several stories taking place in the hotel, kind of like 4 rooms? The only way it's like 4 rooms is that, yeah, like the hotel staff are characters. But it's more like Demons 2, which is, speaking of Suspiria, Italian horror, Demons and Demons 2 is Italian horror from a little later. It's the next generation. It's like the son of one of those guys. It's not Dario Argento, but it's his buddy. Might be Mario Bava. I forget. But anyway, Demons 1 and 2, they're awesome. But yeah, it's like the way that that Game of Thrones is, except obviously that's like on an epic scale, where you're following multiple plots, these people through the hotel. You're checking in with them constantly. One thing with that too is when you do that, you don't want to fall for the one trap where you like one plot way more than the other. So you kind of want them all to be cool. And, like you don't want to cut to someone and they're just hiding and they're not doing much. And then you cut away, you cut back like, they're still hiding. I haven't thought of anything for them to do yet. So you got to give your characters something to do. And I've noticed that the character likability, it pretty much is related on what you give them to do. Like characters the audience can like characters that you give a lot to do, and will hate characters that you don't give anything to do. But I'm not saying that like we can love to hate a bad guy. So you got to give your bad guy a lot to do too. And then, we're not going to like him. We would love to hate him. And so that's kind of what you want. You want everyone with a lot to do. If there's anyone with not a lot to do, then the audience will like actually hate them, they'll hate the story when they're on screen, when you're following them, they're bored, that kind of stuff. Richard Kale says the son of Mario Bava. Yeah, he did Demons too. Yeah. Is there a secret meth lab in the hotel? No, we talked about various we wanted some subplots going on within the hotel, but we cut most of it to keep it kind of simple. But the basic subplot is that there's a couple, but it's in town in Istanbul. That's where it takes place. There's a tennis tournament. So a lot of athletes and people are around for that. And then at the same time at the hotel, there's a convention for a self-help speaker named Mallory. And a lot of people are there for that. And they shut down the hotel bar because they move it to Mallory's conventions becomes the new bar. And so, there's like things happening in the background. I assume there's always a meth lab. Yeah, there are some shenanigans though. F in the chat says no spoilers. No, that's just like the setup, I don't know. Shit. Maybe we will. Let's look at the first 8 pages. Let me see if I can find it here. Clip Studio. It's kind of weird. I have to zoom in and scroll a little bit. Cover by Monica McCagney. So I'll just read it. This is the first page. Excuse me, double queen, the raw nerve. I booked a king. Look again. Can you even spell? It's Chuck Huxenbaugh. I apologize, sir, but this is the only suite available. Where's the manager? Oh, God, please don't tell me you're the manager. She's on the way, sir. If you could just have a seat over. Don't tell me the manager is a woman. Shit. And your sanitizer dispenser is empty. That guy's a piece of work. Hick, you think that's all his luggage? How'd he board his flight with that much stuff? Aren't there weight limits? I have never. Maybe he drove. Excuse me, pizza coming through. Been treated with such disrespect. Another sigh. I'm about to cut you off. I'm not taking that room. Excuse me, coming through. Sir, if you would just. No, if you would just. I will be heard. Hey there, I have a pizza delivery for the penthouse. Penthouse? Of course, top floor. You'll have to scan this in the elevator to access it. Ding, 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 ding. Excuse me. Yikes. May I see your credit card associated with the reservation? Ding, ding, ding. Bruno Saris, you used to look quite different. This is him. He looks different. Yes, well, the chemo really did a number on me. I'm sorry. Here's your key card. Thanks. The sheer absurdity. Connie turns. What? Hi. Here for the tourney too? You know it. I got lost on the way up. Found myself here. Classic. Hey, want to bunk together to save money? Might as well throw a room party. See if anyone else here is chill. I don't know. We'll see. If this line ever gets shorter. What's up with you? Why are you drinking so much? I'm nervous about the networking event tonight. Just don't embarrass yourself. Sniff. It's my one chance. Oh, please. Cough. Walks out. Thank you for your patience, sir. We value your patronage here at Hotel Constanta. Yeah. Oh, don't tell me you're the manager. Go ahead and upgrade him to the corner room king, but that's already booked. We'll deal with it later. Hello, sir. Warmest apologies. We're upgrading you to a corner room king. No. Well then. Here's your key for the night. Enjoy, sir. What a waste of my time. Pick it up, bellboy. And I'll do a few more pages because just to get to the next little thing. So then we cut to the pizza guy. He's in the elevator. Shing, creak, brrr, ding, 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 bing. Kind of looks, big door, walks up. Knock, knock, knock. Pizza. Ah, right on time. I hope they're not working you too hard tonight. No, my shift's almost over, actually. Hey, do you have time for a what? Oh, would you like to come in for a slice with me? I'm not supposed to get high on my own supply. Nonsense. She pulls him in. And then it keeps going from there. Well read. What's up, Ming? Wilberforce. What's up, Ming? Wilberforce. I said your name to someone and I forget why. I think I might have already told you that. Somehow someone said something that kind of sounded like Wilberforce Wooster. And I was like, Wilberforce, where's Wooster? They're like, what? I'm like, you never heard of him? They're like, what? No. Is Wilberforce Wooster from a thing, or did you just make that up? Because it has a ring to it. Very funny name. People in large suites always answer the door naked. I can fix her. Nowhere this going. Well, right, I'm drunk. Start a stream. Dude, it's moved. People are chatting. I'm trying to click and it moves, but there we go. Wilberforce is the brains behind my comic reviews. Oh yeah, that's even Wilbur. He's a regular on Well Read. F in the chat. How long until it's done? I want to read it. Are you talking about Hotel Story? Hotel Story's done, but it's probably not going to fulfill until for 4 months because I want it to be open for a long time. I want everyone to back it who gets to get a chance to back it. But I was going to say, yeah, I do need a few behind the scenes people reading it beforehand. So we could possibly arrange that F in the chat if you really want to read it. Standalone got plans for a sequel. It's part 1, but it does feel very like the story continues, but it ends with a nice climax and kind of situation. It's not exactly like whatever, even Cerberus is a little bit more truncated when it ends. Sometimes that can rub people the wrong way slightly. This one, it ends with a big clash and then you see what happens after that. Nothing. I want it when it's a book. Yeah, it'll be next spring, but it's done though. The art's all done. We're just in the phase of selling it. Down goes solo. Offering up readers? Yeah, possibly Down Goes Solo. Travis, if you want to read it, we could possibly organize something like that. But no worries either. I'm kind of just keeping it on the DL or whatever. Yep. Well, now I'm thinking I might end the stream soon. In the Soon stream. I might watch Demons 2. I tell you what, I've been thinking about that. And Demons 1. Get those NDAs. Yeah. Like what I've seen. Thanks, Tango Solo. Yeah, it starts. I like how it starts. Whatever. Just me complimenting my own book, but it's me and Jared. So I feel because it's a huge collaboration, I feel more comfortable complimenting it. But the intro, that the way uh, that it cuts around the lobby and introduces you to every character and gives you their personalities um, in 8 pages is fun. Conan 2 DVD 2 set, nice. Maybe you can rewatch those. I think I rewatched Conan relatively recently, and it is good stuff. But I haven't seen the second one in a long time. What's coming after Hotel Story? Probably just Earthbound Part 2, which or Grand Prix. Grand Prix is getting fulfilled and getting some feedback, and people are digging it, which is good. That one though, people a lot like I did get some people feedback from multiple people. They say it's definitely a setup part 1. It's like mostly setup, but still like good, still a fun read and good stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I got to get part 2 and part 3 even. But part 2, I think, will win people over. Part 3 will hopefully kind of start to blow people's minds. And then it keeps going all the way to part 6. But by part 2 and 3, I'm like, oh, we'll have them. We'll have people hook, line, and sinker. And it'll be like next spring. That it could be an interesting timeline because, yeah, I might for the first time have 2 campaigns going at the same time, because the reason you do that is the more you become like a comic company rather than a single dude crowdfunding, because if you do single dude crowdfunding, you actually can't mathematically make enough money to live on almost, and depending on the tides or whatever. But right now the economy is kind of poor, and so it's like you do more of a rolling thing. So as long as Earthbound Grand Prix Part 2, all the art will get done, and then it might launch on Fund My Comic. And Hotel Story still won't fulfill at that point, because that's kind of an issue I ran into last year. Was I didn't want to do the rolling release because you fulfill one, you launch another, you fulfill one, you launch another. But the problem with that was to fit them all in, they were only available for 1 month to even buy. So that was leaving money on the table kind of thing too. It wasn't really working for the business plan. I'm like, okay, what you should do is you leave them open a little bit longer, still get all the art done before you even launch, because that's like a good like safety net. And then you do more of a rolling thing. But even if it's just rolling 2, and then it is, yeah, like you got to fulfill one before you launch another still, but then you have 2 going at the same time. So you're able to keep the campaigns open longer and bring a little more money in. Alex Ruby, yeah, he says it's okay with the history. That's kind of my thoughts too. Is she busy or looking for work? She's busy, but you can always reach out to her if you want her email. I'll give it to you, and she can like fit you in, but it might be like a month or 2 or whatever. Have you seen One Cut of the Dead? Yeah, dude, I love that movie. It combines movie making behind the scenes with zombies. I think you'd dig it. Yeah, that movie is funny. I absolutely loved it. And it's pretty short, if I recall, too. I don't know if it's like 70 minutes or like 80 or 90, whatever. But I thought that movie was like the most feel-good movie I'd ever seen in a long time. It's like the soaring ending of like camaraderie. I was like, oh man, why does my heart feel like it's soaring? I haven't had this soaring feeling in a while. I feel like Leo DiCaprio off the tip of the Titanic before it went down. I was trying to remember, that's kind of what is the pose? I guess it's because I'm like, if Rose is behind him, hugging him, and he's the one going like this, that's gay. But I think they do both. They switch it both ways or something. Because she definitely does that, and he's behind her. Have you guys seen the memes when he shows her his art, and then it's always like hilarious drawings whenever she looks at it? That's funny. Uh, Leonardo DiCaprio, he is the most memed actor of all time, I think, which is actually a good little like award to win. It's very close to being the best actor of all time. Like the best actor of all time would also be the most memed, I think. Or the fact that his weird like overacting poses he does and stuff, they make for perfect memes, and they become iconic representations of universal emotions. Titanic, the whole movie's gay. It's just boring. That movie's weird. I watched it once when I was young and I loved it. Saw it twice in theaters. Then I watched it in college and hated it. Then I watched it after college and loved it, and I haven't watched it since. So the last time I watched it, I liked it, but I think it definitely depends on your mood. If I even think about it now, there's things about it that annoy me. The old lady, the whole old lady plot. It's like this huge, long, slow plot of them talking to an old lady. Like, I do not care about this freaking old lady. I was rooting for the ice. Actually, we gotta go. Much love. Thanks, Alex. And thanks for the links. Good stuff. Catch you later. Yeah, I'm thinking about going too. I'm just hanging for a second. We were talking about the type of minimalist movies. So I guess this is something I've talked about kind of a lot, and I still haven't got to the bottom of it. Maybe I've kind of just said it, but just even the word like the minimalist cinematic, like a movie like Road Warrior, where the plot is like you can actually kind of say the plot in one sentence or three sentences. It's like there's a siege happening with this oil tanker situation where the people want to get out of there, but the gang won't let them. Mad Max kind of comes into that situation and helps them at an attempt at escape. That's the entire plot. Um, and that is not, I'm like, not very many comics are like that. Have that simple plot where that it's packed with fun detail on top of a simple plot. A lot of comics have pretty like just maybe like a little bit more like Game of Thrones or whatever, just more crazy shit. But I don't know. As soon as I say that, I'm sure there are examples, but that's one where I'm like, I want to be the guy who does that. I want to do the minimalist cinematic type stories where the story is pretty simple, but then all the stuff on top of it is like super rich and fun. Where you can get one thing I've talked about it in the past is like the level of zooming in. I think I might talk about this on the next creative block, but it's the idea of like long stories versus short stories. Because it's weird because you could tell a long story about, like in the case of Hotel Story, it's about 5 hours. So it's in one night, 5 hours, 300 pages. That's a long story about 5 hours. You could tell a short story about 5 hours. You could tell a long story about 500 years, 1,000 years. Like Kentaro Miura, Berserk, they said he pitched or started describing Berserk as the 1,000-year story, and it's all about like this timeline and this history and stuff, and kind of that kind of stuff. And that's like that story is like this thick to read all of it or whatever. It's crazy. But one of the ways that it's like if you wanted to try and write a longer story, a good way to do it. There's one way that people do it that where they just they'll write an issue and then they'll write another issue, and then over the course of, if they've been doing it for 10 years, you look back on it and it's this thick, and like that's cool. But the way I try and do it is more that way you won't always have the super strong narrative drive. I want the strong narrative drive. And one of the ways you do that is by zooming in. And I was like, can you zoom in too much? So if you zoom in basically like the max, it seems like it's to real time. And then you can kind of zoom in a little bit more for little periods where that's like almost like slow motion. but zooming into real time. And there is kind of that feeling within comics, like if comics are kind of documenting, you know, the moment to moment, you would only do that in a scene that requires it, or else otherwise you're cutting, you're cutting just to the stuff you want to show, the interesting stuff. But you can make more and more stuff interesting until the point till you want to zoom in. Like Tarantino kind of does that, where like he'll make a movie that's 2.5 hours long and it's like 5 scenes. And each scene is 40 minutes long. And it's because he zoomed in so much that every detail is important. So you have to just show the whole scene real time because people need to know. And whether it's people talking, but then you have to have subtext with the dialogue where other shit's going on that people are kind of tracking while people are talking. And like Inglourious Bastards does that, obviously. Some other stuff. But I do like zooming in a lot on stories. And I don't think comics get, in general, I don't think they get zoomed in enough a lot of times. And I think that's one like thing I bring to the table that's like a little bit original. Like, but who can do it good that I've read is Frank Miller. But it was a Daredevil comic. I think it was Born Again, where the climax of Born Again ends with like it's in the apartment complex, and there's like, but actually the thing is, everything comes together and there's like awesome shit happening all in one moment, and he's tracking it all. But I think it might be like, if it's just 8 pages or something, maybe it's 16, and then it's over. So I bet it's not 16. It might be like 8 to 10 or 12 following this climax where everything comes together and it's really awesome. But for that period, it's kind of like real time. It's like this. You have to check every detail. But that's not, I don't know. Then as I was saying that, I was like, well, manga will do like fights where the one fight scene might be 200 pages. And that is what I'm talking about, kind of. But then I kind of don't want to necessarily do that because that's sort of been done. And I'm a little bit confused about how they do that too. I'm like, how does manga just make like, they're like trash talking, and they cut to observers. The observers there's like a formula to it, to like the shonen style. Like the observers kind of give commentary. It's almost like the sports commentary casters on the side, like, oh, he's leveling up. And like, I don't know. There's ways that they draw it out. And it's almost like they fight, and then there's some magic system stuff with how the spells work. And there's powering up, leveling up. Then they take a break and talk shit. And then they like cut to something else. They'll have like little things change it up the scene too, like little events will change the battlefield or change the subtext of the fight. A new fighter will enter the tournament. A lot of like simple stuff like that. And every time they do that, they can draw it out more. And that's cool. But I kind of don't fully understand that. The more one that I'm like well schooled in, it is pretty much just the Tarantino style stuff where you build up super intense subtext, be it like suspense or paranoia, and then you have it to the point where the stakes are so high that you just want to stay with it moment to moment and stay real time anyway. And then you can build a sequence that's like pretty long, just following the details of what happens. Well, all right. I just tapped into some deep emotional themes with my writing tonight. Nice. That's sweet. That always feels good when that happens. Res Dogs is pretty much exactly City on Fire. I kind of want to watch City on Fire. What is that? Oh yeah, dude, I want to see that. That's cool. Can't beat an extended 90-minute Cameron set piece. See, I agree. I love that. And actually they did have that in the sequel to the one Avatar 2. There is like a part where they show like they're hunting whales and they're harvesting their brain, blah 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 blah. I think it's like 40 minutes of their just like of seeing how they do it, and that's the story is them. So again, you can say it in one sentence, like even like if it's the script or whatever, maybe this is the outline. So you'd say they hunt the whale and then they get the brain juice, whatever. And you're kind of learning a little bit about the world. You're learning about the process of how they hunt it and stuff. But yeah, it's like 40 minutes. And I think I'm trying to remember that one too. Like, yeah, the end set piece, it kind of evolves and keeps happening. And it might be like over an hour, it might be 90 minutes. And it's awesome. It was really cool. Yeah, Avatar 2 was a lot of fun for that reason. There was like one thing I hated about it. It was a big plot. It was a plot convenience thing, which freaking they almost ruined the story for me. But it was like, why did they leave? I didn't get why they had to leave. It didn't make sense really. Maybe if I watch it again, there's a way for because they're like, yeah, we gotta leave because like such and such, we don't want to put our family in danger or put our tribe in danger or something like that. And I was like, what are you talking about? You're safe here. They like explain too that you're safe. I don't know. But that last 90-minute freaking one action scene lasted 90 minutes. There's just so much like evolution and details of how things are happening as it's going. And within it, there is like cool, like emotional stuff too. And Bastard was like that. Nice. Do it. Do it. Yeah. Oh, haven't seen City on Fire. I saw a good one called Vengeance from 1971. Jado Jaga. Have you seen that one? And there's a whole series called like The One-Armed Swordsman. And it's that actor and director. They did a ton. They were like the pair, and I think it was like the two of them, or maybe it was like the actor was the director, but I think it was two guys that were like geniuses. One of them was the actor, one of them was the director. And that actor, he was the pre-Bruce Lee. So after Bruce Lee got famous, that guy faded a little bit. So he's the era right before Bruce Lee came on the scene, and he was awesome. And he's in Vengeance. Vengeance was so badass. That was like the most badass shit I've ever seen. City on Fire Laserdisc? Nice. If you're hopping in here, sign up for the Hotel Story mailing list. And everyone schedule a little time on Sunday to maybe hang out, support, spread the word, back it if you can. It's definitely going to be a fun one. It's another one of these like big narwhal joints, created with Jared Jewell, who's a great cartoon. Really fun to co-write it with him. I was describing it a little bit. I was saying I was a little bit more the structure guy, the kind of, yeah, pretty much just the structure. And he added a lot to the dialogue and the characters. Bringing his, then I'm back trying to think of that Greek word of what it is. I'll think of it as soon as I end the stream. Have you ever seen 13 Assassins? Yeah, that's an amazing movie too. Super awesome. I think the only thing that's a bummer, it's an awesome director too. Again, he's like super famous. I can't think of his name right now. He did Ichi the Killer and stuff. He's directed like 200 movies. But 13 Assassins has one section that's like CGI cows. Because as part of their defenses, they start a stampede in the middle of the battle. And the CGI cows are dumb. But I'll get over it. I don't care. But it's just like a little bit like, everything's so badass. You know what 13 Assassins did too is they set up a really good bad guy. And at the end, you do get to see the fucking guy you hate and the guy you love, and they fight in the rain or in the mud and stuff. I'm like, yes, this is so awesome. Takashi Miike. Do you like writing with a partner? I do. I try and do both, but I really like writing with a partner. And with this one too, I was trying to remember how we did it. We would do meetings and I would make detailed outlines and pass it to Jared, and then he would write it. And then I would like rewrite what he wrote to make sure it hits all the beats I wanted to hit, but I would keep a lot of his like dialogue and character work that he had done. So all his DNA is all there, bringing this whole new feel that wouldn't have been there if I hadn't worked with him. But then I also kind of got to keep, it's like almost like the best of both worlds, where I got to keep my own, like, you know, just basically like the structure and narrative drive, stakes, stuff that I like focusing on. I got to get that all feeling really good. And then the two things together work really well. And I think people will have a positive response to it. I think it does have a good destiny too, of like, if ever the era ends where Hollywood isn't a piece of shit, they would instantly buy this IP. But I don't know if I'd even sell it, you know, like I don't know what I'd do, but I kind of want to try and make it myself at some point or something. Down goes slowly. Do you ever fight over plot points? We didn't really. We had a really good working relationship. Part of it, sometimes I've noticed with collaborations, it is good to have one person's a little more the boss and one person's not the boss. Then you don't have the ego battle stuff. And it's not even like, it's not like I'm more alpha than Jared. It's just more, it's just in this scenario, I'm a little more the boss because I'm paying him. And I did pay him money to help me write it and everything. And like that's the inverse working with your boy Zach. He's a little bit more the boss. So in that case, he's the one who makes the calls at the end. And we can argue. We do once in a while over little things, usually me and your boy Zach, sometimes over like lines of dialogue even, but it doesn't last that long because usually it's not that big of a deal. Like if it's kind of two lines, it could go either way. I might prefer one, he prefers one. Then I'm usually like, well, that way honestly works too. So I don't care that much. And I think that's kind of like with Jared, it's like we have these options, but we're kind of trying to weigh, I don't know. But usually one thing too that we had good with our working relationship was that we were good at quote unquote killing your darlings or whatever, or kind of like just the iteration process. The whole book was iterated just a ton from the very beginning all the way to the end. It was just constantly like iterated is like a good word for what we were doing. We were rewriting dialogue, scenes, we were changing stuff. There was one point where we went back like 10 pages and redid like the strategy. Because I say like the strategy is the story of like, what are they going to do to try and survive? And I know like the idea is you want them to do the smartest thing at all times. If they do something dumb, that really ruins the story. So you're always trying to think like, what would they do? What would they do? What would they do? And if you're doing that, it feels cool as it's happening, like just the story unfolding, and then you can have shit happen while that's happening. So yeah, we were doing that, and then he was drafting it, I was drafting it, and then as we went, so like the first draft was 10 pages, and then the second draft was like 8 pages because I'd like cut a little bit or something. I pass it back to him. We do a meeting, then we write the next. So we wrote it, brainstorming the two of us straight ahead as we went, knowing where it was going a little bit, but we figured it out as we went too. And we're like, we didn't know right away if we're going to pull it all together. We're like, we know it's going to end with like the climax is like, is the mass sacrifice going to happen? The liminal angels trying to stop it. Who's going to live? Who's going to die? We're not exactly sure. And we ended up getting like some awesome shit happens in part 2. That's like so fun. But what's cool is that the way stories, they have to evolve and they have to escalate, and they actually have to escalate exponentially, which kind of happens naturally, but it's like, if you think like of a story escalating linearly like this, that actually is boring. It has to go like this, like whoosh, so you like feel the G-force of it speeding up more and more as the story goes, and you're like, fuck, the climax is here, this is intense. Are they going to make it? If you have that feeling, people will be reading it in one sitting. And kind of the back and forth to make sure that was working the whole way through. But so then the question is, part 2 is all the escalations over part 1. So any individual action scene in part 2 has to be better than part 1, but part 1 has to be badass too. And so then you're like, well, then part 2 has to be really badass. And it's like figuring that out is kind of a challenge, but we kind of did. And a lot of it is like you're revealing, you know what it's kind of like? It's funny. It's like the level design of Mario, the original Mario for Nintendo. Like, I think level 1 is like famous for being like a tutorial without telling you it's a tutorial. And like when you're playing it, if you're playing it for the first time, you're not bored by the first level because you're like learning, you're like figuring shit out. Like when you start Mario, you know, like you see one mushroom and you see one thing that makes you big. And the first gap you have to jump is like 1 pixel or 1 block. So you can actually sprint across it and you won't fall. But it's just teaching you like learn to jump because you won't even get past this. So hit B, then you know that. And like that's like the story is like just unfolding the rules, what's happening, how everything works. That in itself is like pretty what's the word? The audience enjoys that. And then once that's all set up, then you kind of evolve it a little more or play with it a little more. But that's the idea is you're constantly kind of adding on to it, doing little evolutions, little iterations on it, little reveals, little expansions, little more clever ways that these rules can play out. Because that's one of the fun things with like kind of magic systems is you can set up the magic system so then you know what it is, but then you apply it later in an unforeseen way. That's like always super fun when stories do that, and Hotel Story does that quite a bit. Let's withdraw. In my mind, Narwhal and Zach had an hours-long battle over the color scheme of 499. It came to blows. Furniture was thrown. Blood was spilled. Onlookers stood by aghast. Yeah, I wonder, like, I get what I got a little bit what he was going for. At one time I did send him a version of using those colors, but I had like tweaked it a little bit and I had added other colors and more rendering, but it was still kind of weird. And he was like, no, this kind of defeats the purpose of what I'm going for. And I was like, okay, I get, you got a vision. So that was one where we went with that. Django Soul, is your co-writer working on a book of their own? Yeah, Jared, there's one for sale in the campaign. It's called The Oboe, and that's a 48-page. You could kind of call it a short story, like a horror short story. I was calling it a haunting horror. Like it's kind of like Silent Hill 2 style of horror. Really cool. Kind of combined though with Jared's again like sensibilities. Kind of his it's like a little bit cartoony, but it's like serious and it's like emotional and everything and haunting. But it's a cool mix. And I really like that comic. So I was like, let's just put that on the campaign. People can treat it. This is like an intro to Jared's work. So you got the huge book that's mine and his collaboration. You got his short story that's 48 pages. That's really awesome. And then if you sign up for the mailing list, you get the mini comic, which is just a little extra lore. It's going to be a little bit of the deleted scene for Salome's backstory. That's going to be the mini comic. And it still might not answer all the questions, but it'll be just a little bit of fun stuff there. Genuine Comments, what's up, man? Genuine's got a live campaign, by the way, everyone. Perfect 10. If we got any mods hanging out, I know Alex DRB went to bed, but if we got any more mods, post the link. Everyone think about supporting that. Well, Dele says, I looked up how to pronounce Salome on YouTube. Is it Salome or is it Salome? I hope it's Salome. I've been saying that the whole time. This stream has honestly been the most interesting I've watched all week. That's nice. I hope, yeah, it's nice to keep people interested and entertained, but then I do get self-conscious. Like, shit, I said too much. If I wanted to entertain, we could have done so much more. You know what we could have done? I don't know. We could have had guests and watched clips and shit and joked about it. We could have stream sniped. Instead, it's like me saying, I'm like, we're never going to conquer the world this way. It's nice if few people like it, but sometimes I worry about that with like my comics. I was like, what if my destiny is like, what's the painter who he didn't get famous till after he died? I was like, I hope that doesn't happen to me. I hope I get famous while I'm still alive. But I ain't cutting my ear off and sending it to anyone, so. Yet. Who wants an ear? I got 2 of them. I got plenty to spare. Van Gogh. Salami or Salome? Yeah, Salome. Did I tell you the kind of funny story is, so we hired voice actors to do the trailer, and then the one actress who's great, but it was funny because she's like, how do you pronounce Salome? Salome? And we're like, no, Salome, I think. And she's like, okay. So she does the line, and she's like, because the line is like, what? She's like, who are you or whatever? And he's like, Adrian. And you? She goes, Salome. But the actress is like, he goes, Adrian, who are you? And she goes, Salome. and I was like, that was great, but you're putting the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. And she's like, oh, sorry. So she's like, Salome. She like couldn't do it. And I'm like, all right, let's just take 5 minutes, say it 100 times. She's like, Salome. I'm like, listen to me, Salome. I'm like, shit, she's making me say it wrong. I'm like, oh, how do you say it again? And everyone's like, Salome. And then I'm like, okay, let's do another take. And she goes, Salome. I'm like, no. F in the chat, whamming. No, but we did get it. It was funny though. It definitely took a few minutes. Where in the middle of that too, you're like, are we ever gonna get this? Is this how it feels being on a set like whatever? Stanley Kubrick? Is this what it feels like to be Stanley Kubrick? Bologna. Gonna put that ear in a loaf. Yep. Well, shit. Today, so me and Jared, we put the finishing touches on Hotel Story. We went through multiple. We kind of did some of the editing phase, just because of OCD almost. But I wanted to have it ready and to send to some people. So we went through like, a passage, checking continuity, checking that kind of stuff, checking typos, checking storytelling, and we did a pass. It took like maybe a week even of like there was like 100 little things to change, and then checked it again, and there was like 30 things. So we did that in one day. We did 30 little adjustments, typos, etc. Then it was more or less perfect. I'm still going to send it to a true editor and have a final pass before print, but print won't be for like 4 or 5 months. But then it was done. That was yesterday. So that was like big time, good feeling of the dopamine of having it done. So I emailed it out to like 6 people. And then today I woke up and I was like, well, it feels like I should take the day off, but I don't know what to do exactly. So I worked just a little bit, but I kind of did end up taking the day off. And now I'm streaming, and I'm like, I kind of just want to keep streaming, but I'm running out of shit to talk about. I'm like, how do I stay interesting for Jetto Jaga? Jetto Jaga, I'm going to let you down. I'm going to put the stream too long, overstay the welcome. Quit while the getting's good. Leave them wanting more. Or do the exact opposite. Burn out completely in a blaze of boringness on stream. Sounds like my style. Daily, talk about portholes. Yeah, I want to see my porthole. He's right there. I am going to get a like tall table to put near the porthole. I'll put the computer on the table, and then I'll live stream through the porthole. And I might do like puppet shows or something, except puppet shows are kind of gay, but I'll do something through the porthole. I've bumped my elbows on it a little bit because I think our brains do think in rectangles. So you kind of see it and you're like, oh, there's an opening. I'll just put my elbow on it. Bam, you hit the side of the porthole. You're like, oh. Does Creative Block need more PowerPoint presentations? Well, we do one every week, so I think we have the perfect amount. One per week. This weeks went kind of fast, but that's okay. Shadow Puppet Theater. Yeah, maybe. Future projects. I do have a few that we could discuss randomly. I like writing process streams, structure, motivation, stakes, and stuff. Very interesting to hear about the craft. Yeah, thanks, Alex, for sure. F in the chat. Sirens, dude, I know what that is. That's a bar in Port Townsend. I could meet you there for sure. I forget, Evan, are you from Seattle? Because you should. I would beat you. It'd be fun. I would drink tomato juice or something. My rule though, I drank a little bit in Tampa and it was fun because I quit drinking like 3 or even 4 years ago now. I kind of quit. Maybe it was 3, no, 4. I don't know. But I very much prefer the life of not drinking. And unfortunately, I am kind of the type of guy where it's hard for me to do everything in moderation kind of thing. Like that's kind of why I quit, because I was like being an alcoholic. Basically, I was like drinking 6 to 12 beers a night, just watching YouTube, and then being kind of hungover the next morning. I was getting kind of fat. And so, yeah, quit, got way more healthy, and only missed little things about it, but nothing really. But if I fly somewhere, that's my new little rule, I guess. If I fly somewhere, I'll drink a little bit. OF and I fled to a flyover. Nice. That sounds exactly like me. Yeah. I get so it would be your rule. You'd fly, so you would get to have a beer. I get the impression that every member of the creative block approaches storytelling very differently. So you end up talking past each other. Oh, yeah. Well, we all pick it up like, yeah. It's kind of like everyone's picking up different stuff but being exposed to it is very valuable, I think, to hear what other people are chatting about. Nice. From Dale Chihuly, that's the Seattle glass blowing guy. That guy seems a little bit like a piece of shit, though, I must say. He kind of had a monopoly on blowing glass in Seattle for a while. And that can lead to being a piece of shit, I think. But yeah. I thought glass blowing Tacoma. Maybe both. I think Dale Chihuly, if I'm even saying that right, but I think he's Seattle. Let me see if I can find. Oh yeah. I have a little bit. Been working a little bit on the inspirational pocketbook. I want that to be the sequel to the interactivity, because it's funny. Interactivity, it is close to becoming my best-selling book of all time, and I'm like, damn, freaking nonfiction book. It's I don't know. It might be at like 1,100 copies sold. I think Foreign Agents floating around there. Earthbound 1 and 2 are floating around there. Nosferatu was getting close. The shorts dipped off. The shorts didn't sell an insane amount, maybe 700. I want them to sell more. I want them to have a second wind at some point, but it's 164 color pages, so it's expensive as shit to print, or you got to charge more. So I don't know what to do about the shorts for now. But yeah, it's once Cerberus 2 is done, so then the full Cerberus story is complete. That'll be like next year, and then Hotel Story also next year. The full story will be complete. Then it's like, yeah, full story of Earthbound. Shortly after that, too, then Grand Prix. So in like the next year, Grand Prix might be 2 years, and so in the next 2 years, I'll have like 7 full 300-page graphic novels that are between 200 and 300-page graphic novels, like 7 of them, and they're all sweet, but maybe not, maybe 6. But then I'm kind of like, shit, I need to figure out a way to make those more available where they're not just available once a year or even less. Like, when do I make the shorts available now? I'm not sure, because like I don't want to sell it with the Hotel Story campaign. So it's like every year I can do it. Basically, I have to get a store going or get like some shit published or something. But I talked a little bit behind the scenes with a handful of people about some publishing stuff, just like the possibility. And a lot of people were saying like, don't necessarily do it. Like, even like, say like Dynamite, or you can maybe get published by Dynamite, but like what? It's like, then you do kind of get your stuff in stores or whatever, but you won't get that much money from it. Then they have various rights that make it weird. It's like probably just literally just having my own store, but actually having like maybe having an assistant who I could pay or something, actually like running the store and just having the full store going. The other random thing I was thinking is, well, one thing is Fund My Comic, they're working with Philbo Baggins to try and get some distribution going through Diamond, and they said they'll do 32-page books. But then I was like, yeah, are my books 32 pages? I wonder if I can even see. I was like, I almost have nothing that would work. I'm like, maybe combining all Naked Samurai stories could possibly work. I got Cerberus here. I'm like, Cerberus could maybe get split up into 3 32-page books, because a lot of them can't. Like Earthbound actually can't, because the first chapter is 36 pages, and you really need to get to that 36 page for. Then it does. That would be a good single issue. But so I'm actually going to count real fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. Yeah, the scene ends at 33 pages. Then the actual first chapter would end at more like 44 or something. But there's a scene that ends right at 33. So I was like, I could just truncate it. So Cerberus kind of wouldn't work. I was like, Grand Prix, it's 44 pages, the first issue. I could try and put something together, but maybe the only one I can think of is the Naked Samurai. I just put all 3 shorts. I think it would add up to close to 30, and then put in a couple sketches and have that be a floppy, and that would be in stores, but it would not be a series. But I do have the Naked Samurai graphic novel script that I am going to draw, I think next year, maybe. I'm not sure. There's your boy Zach project that I might have to draw next year that will take up some time if I do that. But and I do want to do another book with your boy Zach, but it is like weighing what I can do, a little bit what makes money, because it is like a little more nerve wracking these days making enough money. Your boy Zach did that video of like get a job. It did cross my mind, but I was like, what would I do? I don't want to go back to the Fred Meyer Deli. And I can't remember if I told you guys, but I worked at a hotel for like 5 years. So that's part of what Hotel Story, a lot of like authentic detail and experience about that. Um, but yeah, shit, what was I saying? That, if I'm gonna work on some shit. F in the chat. I'm gonna walk around naked so nobody messes with me. See, that's the Naked Samurai. A narwhal sampler and put it in a floppy. Yeah. Yeah, actually, you know what it could work is like, because I was like, maybe Nosferatu. But then Nosferatu, it's 20 pages, and each issue is 20 pages, and it's three, or they're 21 or 22, and it's 66 total. So it does break up nicely into 3 issues, but they want 32. So I'm like, I could do Nosferatu and a short story in the back, and maybe like a letter. So maybe I'll try and put Nosferatu out through Diamond. I don't know if it'll sell. I wonder what would sell. I'm like, but one thought I was like, I could try and go through Diamond myself. I feel like that's not that crazy. It is just like you don't lose. You probably do need some money, but you could probably get it going. But oh yeah, but yeah, for like a job, like I'm messing a lot with animation and movies, but I don't know if that's still like that's not super realistic for like a job either. I always tend to gravitate towards that, like the less stable stuff that's more risky and weird, just trying to do random stuff. But I was like, I could maybe be like a storyboard artist or something like in Hollywood, not proper, but whatever, maybe, and then make a little more money. But I don't know if I mean, I kind of don't want to do that. And I don't even know if it's a possibility, but then as soon as I thought it, I was like, is it a possibility? Because then you kind of feel the challenge. I'm like, well, those bastards, are they holding out on, they don't want to hire old narwhal? You're telling you don't want to hire old narwhal? They'll hire old narwhal. They want narwhal. Like what, even there's like some companies in America, like there's the company that works on Castlevania. But I know that this is a thing too, is it is an issue of like the woke mob is kind of infiltrated, but you can't let that, I don't know. You don't want to let the be a reason to like not even try. But the thing is, it's not what I want. There's weird ways where like success can hurt you in ways when you're looking back on life and you're like, oh, life just happens to you. And then the ways you were successful were the way your life is hurted via your success. And you're like, dang, I was successful at the wrong things. I got hurted in the wrong direction. And you look back and like, shit, I spent 20 years storyboarding when I could have been making comics, or vice versa. And there's a grass is always greener thing. But I think that's one thing that my lack of success has given me the ultimate freedom to only pursue exactly what I want to do, which is like to create like stuff that I write, that I do. It's all me doing stuff, being creative, the creative life kind of. And I don't know, there's some like weird aspects of it. Like part of me thinks I wouldn't be able to do this if I had a family. Like that would, but so it is like the path of Satan. Like I made a deal with the devil accidentally, but maybe that's what I'm like. I still would be down to have a family. I still want a family, but it's weird. It's like the ultimate freedom as an artist. A few things have to happen. And it basically is like the ways that success hurts you, that has to not happen, which kind of means you have to be like a failure. And that will give you this crazy freedom to let you pursue exactly what you want, which I already just said that once, but it's weird. Deli, get a rich wife. Put interactivity on Amazon. You know what? It actually is on Amazon. I think. Yeah, I think you can like Google it and it comes up. It's on like the print on demand kind of thing. It's the only book I have up through that system, but that's when I sell it. I just order authors' copies through Amazon and for the exact same price, but and then ship them to people. But people can buy it and have it shipped outside of me. Alex Wheeler, that's the cheat code. Rich wife, sugar mama. Things that you learn while trying to do things can add to finding what you're really good at. That's true too. Delay says, what? Or are you saying what like it no, yeah, it's on Amazon. It is on there. I feel like this is a failure of marketing. Well, I've deliberately kept it secret because I've just been selling it like I don't know, but every time I put it on a campaign, it sells about 50. And this is after its initial release, it sold like 700 and like 100 digital. And then it sold maybe more than 700, maybe. And then it sold 50 like 3 or 4 times after that on various campaigns. So yeah, but I don't mind if I'm not trying to keep it secret. Like, so definitely post it on Twitter if you want. Maybe, yeah, maybe I could promote it a little bit. Dale A. Dale A, I don't even know if I follow you on Twitter. If I see you, at me and I'll follow you in case, but maybe I do. Yeah. But I'm gonna the stuff I'm working on now, a lot of it's like kind of like I have a bunch of script ideas that are fairly worked out, and then I got to decide which one to write. And then you kind of just don't. A lot of them like you don't quite feel the super drive, and part of that's because you haven't figured it out enough yet. So then I'll sit there and try and think about it more. But you don't really get the days that I like. I like days when you have serious progress on a script where you feel like kind of like you dug something out of the ether and uncovered the idea a little more, kind of discovered it, like feels really cool. And those days they're kind of rare. You got to be firing on all cylinders with the idea being pregnant, being excited about it, ready to write it, where it's like flowing out of your fingertips. And that, I mean, yeah, I kind of, a few of the movies that I was writing, they're deliberately written to be low budget. So they're a little bit different than the comics. But I like those and they could be comics too. But the fact that they could be movies, I'm like, I can't just make a comic because then I won't make it as a movie. I need to at least sit there and try and think about it and maybe make it as a movie. And the limitations on the budget, they do, it's like you could do a version without the limitations and yeah, it might be better. But the limitations are kind of fun in their own right. But yeah, some of it is like getting these ideas and thinking of the right like form for them, like even the right era. Like I'll have a kind of plot that I want to do that's like one plot I want to do is a like how do you explain it? It's like it took me a while to even get to this point, but I was like, I just want like two oracles that are warning two people. So the one oracle says to the king, well, I basically figured out it's I think the only way I can think of it so far, I was like, is it like a big company guy or like a general or a king or like a patriarch? Like, what is the setting of where this would work? And I was like, at least starting it as a king, because then I can kind of visual and then I can maybe transpose it to something else. But I'm like, okay, king, the oracle warns him that there is he has reinforcements coming because there's another army that's coming to put his castle under siege, and someone within those reinforcements is an undercover agent that has been sent to kill him. And so then he knows that's going to happen. So then I think he goes undercover boss style into his own army, trying to catch the person who's trying to kill him. And I think that person has access to an oracle too, who warns him a little bit about the king. And so they both kind of know something's up, but they don't know who's who. And then, of course, they end up becoming sort of like friends without knowing it. Classic BS. So I was like, yeah, that's like a plot I want to write. But I don't know. I was like, is it just a freaking king story with like armies and reinforcements and blah, blah, blah? Because you could think of something like, I'm sure there's like a version of it. If there was someone, or if I did a bunch of research, or if I had endless knowledge of the world and history, then I could think of something a little more, potentially a little more like interesting. But the king thing, I mean, it's kind of like a pretty basic way to fit it all in, which I kind of like too. And a lot of times the way these things work is I'll anguish over it for like 6 months trying to think of like, could it be Roman? Could it be the Knights Templar versus the Pope, in 1300? Could it be gangs in Japan, like Yakuza? Could it be blah, 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 Western, maybe gangs too, if it's a Western? Could it be this? Could it be this? Could it be this? Could it be this? I'm like, oh, but then it doesn't quite work with such and such, and one of the ideas I had too is it's like a little more, like airship, steampunk, like a steampunk airship, and it's the captain goes undercover amongst his crew. But then I was kind of like, well, if an oracle warns him like, hey, some of your new recruits, one of them is here to kill you, he would just take every new recruit and kick them off the ship. So that was a kind of, it's not a plot hole, but it's like a dead end, because I'm like, well, I don't want to write where he acts stupid. Like, it's cool when they do the smartest thing. I'm like, well, you could write a story actually. That actually would be kind of funny if you're writing a story, the oracle warns him, and instead of going undercover boss, he just takes every new recruit and like kicks them off or whatever. But then you could have a reason. Maybe he actually does have stakes why he has to catch the person too, or whatever. But just a few days ago, even thinking like, oh, it's a little bit better if he's in a desperate situation where he needs the recruits. So if they're reinforcements and he needs the reinforcements, yeah, then that's a little bit more of a situation where you can kind of get your story going. And within that, it's like, is that still that cinematic minimalist style that I've been into? Because that can quickly get super complicated if you have like kingdoms, armies, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, but it could be fun. Like in the original airship idea, it's like the airship would crash and then they'd be washed up on an island, and then they have to work together to survive on the island. And the point of the oracles, it's like really, what is it? Like really functional. Like they're only there to give the audience like, or to like have a plot where both people know the other person. I'm like, and there's like a version you could do without the oracles maybe, but then again, yeah, it gets more complicated. You need more authenticity, more understanding. It could be like a CIA spy kind of plot, but then you need reasons why this information is disseminated to them, and et cetera, et cetera. I wonder, there could be a simpler version where it literally is undercover boss and he like works in a pizzeria, and it's like someone warns him that the original owner, who was destined to inherit the pizzeria, but he instead did, and they're sending, that guy's son is coming to get revenge, and he's applying, but he doesn't know who. Like, that's actually hilarious. As I say that, I kind of like it, but that's like, then you're stuck. All of a sudden you're doing a pizzeria comedy, spy thriller comedy. Like, I honestly don't want to, like, maybe if it was a movie, honestly, because then you could shoot it in a pizzeria. You can make a movie that's like fun. Yes, we could make a movie. But if it's a comic, I'm like, I kind of like my comics being a little more serious. Just a little more serious. Alex Withers, King, this is another personal story. Yeah, I'm kind of on a medieval kick. I've noticed, because I read a bunch of fairy tales, I'm like, a lot of cool stories can be transposed to like basically like kings and courts and knights and stuff. They all have analogs, so you could turn it into a western, a lot of those stuff, or turn it into like a modern yakuza thing or whatever. But I do kind of end up just liking the knight kind of stories. But yeah, I'm working a little bit on Percival too, thinking about that story. I want to do a nostalgic AI story, nostalgia for when AI was just like insane bad guy who runs the ship, or not a guy, but insane force that will close a door while you're trying to walk through it and cut you in half, like that kind of thing, rather than whatever it is today, which is all weird. I'm like, I'm so nostalgic for just simple old shitty AI that really wants to kill you. That could be a short story. That might be when I hire another writer too. But I'm out of money right now. I don't have. There was a couple of years there where things were going real good, and I had thousands of dollars that I was investing back into comics. And now I still have a budget. Like I got Cerberus 2 going and one other project with Brendan Swan. I hired him to write something that turned out so great, and that's going to be like a manga actually. But those are kind of stretch me thin. I have one kind of cool idea that, as far as like where a setting would be cool, I think a setting could be cool in like colonial South America or colonial Africa, even like, on the jungle, and it's like occupying military force, basically a military base, but then they have like, because it's a colony, they have women and children and stuff, and they have a relationship with the natives, but it's kind of racist, functional, and whatever, kind of at peace a little bit. Maybe some natives further in the jungle are like resisting a little bit or whatever. And then kind of within that, that's like a little bit like the Zorro situation, is a little bit like that. And I was like, it could be sort of like a Zorro type story. But yeah, I don't know. Mike Wilson art. Money, 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 money. Pro tip: houses make you poor. They're worth it, but dang, they can be expensive. Yeah, that's true. Yep. Tarantino Pizzeria. Do you see, that makes me laugh? Like, you could do a super serious undercover pizzeria, undercover boss story to catch the agent that's there to like sabotage his pizzeria. That is funny. I could do it as a short story. Sometimes if I get an idea and I do like it, I'm like, let's just do it as a short story. If we still really like it, can try and make it longer. Colonial South America with ayahuasca. Yeah. It's a little bit that inspired that movie. There's a movie called Cobra Verde. It's a Werner Herzog movie, and it stars the collaborator that he always worked with, who's like a great actor, but he's like crazy in real life. I can't think of his name right now. And that movie's weird. It's like a little boring, a little confusing, a little bit like, what's even, I don't exactly know the plot. It's like kind of weird. But it's cool though. It's like very inspiring. But it's all about colonial shit. And it's badass. Klaus Kinski, yeah. F in the chat. Whatever you want to work on. Yeah. Yeah, I want to write some stuff. That's what I want to write, but I don't know what to write. Don't have the super drive of like being all stoked on something. Sometimes collaboration helps with that too. I'll pull someone in and then that's where a lot of the stokedness can come from. But it's funny, a lot of the comics I'm drawing, I wrote like 2 years ago now. Like Grand Prix, when I wrote that, I was super pumped. But that was 2 years ago now that I wrote that, I think. And I wrote a few of the movie scripts, but I haven't written super badass comic in a while. I'm due. I got some ideas, but I've been watching old kung fu movies. Yeah, dude, I think I am about to watch some Demons too. And Terrifier was pretty good, even though it was like the torture shit. The one kill was a bit too much, but it's fine. It's just what it is. What it is. And they do that same kill in the Western Bone Tomahawk. They do the exact same kill, and whatever, people do it. I guess it doesn't ruin the movie. It's just a little bit like hardcore. Yeah, collaborate, maybe. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, interesting stream. It's kind of fun to hang and talk with the chat. I haven't done it in a couple of weeks. Whenever I do it, it's a little bit addicting. So like I'll probably do it again tomorrow night, and then I'll be streaming Sunday. Then I inevitably at some point kind of burn out on it and then don't do it for like a month or two. And kind of get back or whatever. But it's fun hanging and chatting. You guys all got to make it to one of these in-person meetups. I'm a big believer in in-person meetups now since Florida. Florida was so fun. It was fun to meet the chat, you know. It was like not awkward at all, too. I kind of was a little nervous about that, but it was not. Like, it's so fun. People walk up to you like Jetto Jaga, for example. You'd walk up to me and be like, "Hey, I'm Jetto Jaga," in the chat. I'm like, "No way. Sweet, man." That's what people like. One guy came up, he's like, "I'm Suck It," in the chat. I was like, "Oh, nice, man." He's like, "Yeah, I'm the guy who bought Witten's butt plug from Cecil." I'm like, "Oh, sweet." Good story ideas have trade-offs, no solutions. Yeah, it does seem like you got to just sit down and do it sometimes and pick one. That's like a little bit the problem I'm in is like it's like scrolling Netflix to look for something to watch. It's always harder because there's a million choices. And yeah, like right now I was just counting. I think I got like 10 scripts I want to watch. I want to write in various phases. The one I've been doodling at here and there is Percival, and I do have a fair amount of it figured out. So I should just try and bust that out, but I'm not quite 100% on the super stokedness. So I don't know. It was like I remember Grand Prix as being like stokedness, but then in the middle of it, it was a grind. In the middle of it, it's like power through, figure this out. There's points where you're like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish it. I don't know what's going to happen next. It's stressing me out. If I try this hard on this and it fails, I'm going to be pissed. And then you get it and it feels super great. That kind of happened with Hotel Story too, where like, I don't know if this is going to work, but we have to try. And you kind of have faith that we'll tinker with it and get to a cool climax. Autographed butt plug for shizzle. Yeah. All right. With that, I think I am going to dip out. But everyone, the main point of the stream is just to mention that Hotel Stories launching Sunday. So everyone think of a little gesture to show support if you don't mind. These are I assume the 19 people here are people who really support Narwhal and stuff. I appreciate you guys. But yeah, like a retweet, whatever, spreading the word a bit, hopping on the stream saying hi when I'm streaming, maybe letting people know about the stream. If you can't afford it, back day one for sure. Yeah, it's going to be a really fun one to share though. And I appreciate everyone. Yeah, Mike Wilson. Sadly, some ideas take years to get to film. Yep. Well, even, like just pick one. Like Sin City, I think it was like 10 years, or maybe a little less, but when it was made. But then it was like that. The other thing is that was Frank Miller's like post famous phase. It was sort of a little bit of a second wind where he got, but his whole like super famous thing was the 80s. Then in the 90s he did Sin City. So he becomes a legend. Then he does Sin City. Then 10 years after that, it gets turned into a movie. Elmer J. Me's back. Hotel Story Sunday. We'll be there. Thanks, Evan. Oh yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah. I mean, that's cool if you want to do that. That's funny. That made me laugh though. It's all yours to do with what you want. I can ship you two, Dele, if you want two blueprints. Stream with Yellow Fashion Soy Zorro. Yeah, I might. He'll sometimes have me on to promote here and there, so we'll see. He was really nice in Tampa too. I met him briefly. He's a super nice guy. Very warm. 10 years. Well, I'm going to be able to make a movie next year, I think. I'm kind of in the process now. But that movie might suck. But I'll definitely have a movie before then. And then maybe my second movie will be good. But the movie might be cool. It's the one I've read the script on stream, but it's the one with the author and his wife arguing whether or not to kill the character in his book, which is weird. It's like a little artsy fartsy, but it's like I can actually shoot it. I can actually make that movie for not that much money at all with real actors. The script is kind of fun, even though it's artsy fartsy. Richard Lucero, how often do you think of the Roman Empire? I know I heard that meme and I was like, I think for some reason this summer, some stuff was coming up and I was thinking about it every day, kind of because of like some scripts and thinking like, oh, could it be a Roman story? Blah, blah, blah. But then before that, I was thinking maybe I didn't think about it for like 10 years. Or maybe I'd think about it once a month, but there was no constant thinking about it. But then this summer, yes, absolutely. It has been every day I've been thinking about it. Just a little bit. Elmer J, what's up? Model railroads? No, but what I say, being an indie comic artist is like building the railroad while you're on the train. I don't know if that's what you're referring to. Don't GRM us. What's that mean? Taylor, I like that author story. Yeah, I'm glad you like that. It's cool because it, like, I don't know. It's sort of not perfect, but there's only so much you can do with that many limitations. So within the limitations, I'm happy with it, and I think it is kind of fun. I was thinking about it. It's well, maybe I'll do a stream and talk more about that at some point because that one's weird. It doesn't have the strongest like emotional thing, which is always good if you can get that with a feature film. So I was wondering how to add that. And I was like, it is there, but it's really abstract. I'm like, can you pull it out with the cinema and the acting? It's like maybe, but I don't know. Oh, nice. That's funny. That's why he's taking a break. Yeah, it could kind of be a play. That's what makes it work for low budget. A lot of play stuff could be kind of lower budget. That's like a skill in itself that I kind of appreciate too. Like, because it is funny. Like, you can't really just write two people talking and write good dialogue and have the conversation be sort of interesting. There has to be other shit going on. I was like, is that true? Yeah, because even Pulp Fiction, for example, when it starts and they're talking about the Royale Supreme while driving, there actually is a subtext, and the subtext is you're wondering, especially when they like grab the shotguns and then keep talking, which happens about halfway through. And the evolution is you're like, oh, they're doing something while they're talking. I wonder what they're doing. but then the talking is also good. But it's like a play skill to actually get the thing behind the talking, because play is the only skill it's like only people talking on stage is like your tool. So you're creating stuff beneath that, the subtext, how you do that. And it is, a lot of it is like whatever, suspense, intrigue, etc. Just having someone lying is like the problem. That it's funny that because that's so simple that I kind of hate how simple it is. It makes me never want to do it. But I'm like, almost everything involves a lie or a secret. Almost all drama. And when I was writing the interactivity stuff, I was like, man, a lot of this is like soap opera stuff. I'm like, soap operas knew how to do it. And how I kind of fixed that in my head or whatever, I was like, I think it sort of is like, yeah, soap operas are awesome for one thing. They get a bad rap. Or you could put it like, yeah, maybe soap operas, it's cheesy, but it doesn't have to be. Like the drama is like legit. Getting like whatever, the interactivity and the dramatic irony and stuff. Checker related puzzles next time. Yeah, maybe we'll do a few more brain teasers. Cool. All right, I'm going to click the thing though. 20 people watching. Thanks everyone for being here. Sign up for Hotel Story. Be ready on Sunday. I appreciate you guys. And nice hanging and chatting. I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.